This is Rogers TV Ottawa.
This is City News.
CIWW 1310 AM in Ottawa.
And CJET 1011 FM in Smiths Falls and the Valley. Number one for local news, traffic, and weather for Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News 1011 everywhere.
It is Wednesday, March 29th. Good morning. I am Damilola Onime. Right now in Ottawa, -2. In Smiths Falls, it is 0. And here's what's making news in Ottawa and the Valley. The federal budget will pass in the House due to NDP support. The Bloc and the Conservatives will be voting against it. Opposition leader Pierre Poilievre tells Wake Up with Rob Snow his reason for rejecting the Liberal plan and the approach his party would have taken.
By their own admission, all this spending is causing inflation, and their solution is to spend even more. So Canadians will pay more in taxes, inflation, and higher interest rates. I think we should do the exact opposite. We should cap spending, cut waste, balance the budget, and lower the tax burden.
The federal government's budget promises major spending on Canada's green economy and expanded dental care. But it also says it can cut $15 billion from the cost of running the government by scaling back travel and its use of outside consultants. And there was a mention of what we used to know as the sin tax in the federal budget presented to Parliament Tuesday. The price of beer, wine and spirits was set to increase by 6.3% on Saturday, but the budget only outlines a 2% increase instead, the exception, though, is for 1 year. The increase in April of 2024 will be based on inflation at the time. With the weather forecast for Ottawa and the Valley, here is City News weather specialist Denise Andriachi.
A bit unsettled at times for this afternoon and evening. We have scattered showers, but also some mixing potential. Amounts look to be on the low end, but the big weather story today is the winds as well as these temperature swings. So we have highs near 7 degrees today, but we fall to -10 late tonight. And it's quite cold and sunny for Thursday. Highs only near +1. Mixing is expected again for Friday, below seasonal, about 10 to 15 millimeters of rain. For this afternoon, the guaranteed high 7.
City News time is 10:02. The Light Rail Subcommittee will meet today to discuss, among other issues, an update on the second phase of the LRT construction. The last update on the construction project, we heard that the open date of Line 2 has been delayed by at least 17 months. And the second of 3 possible LRT phases across the city will now be delivered in 2026. The reasons for the delays include labor and cement shortages. And trustees with the Ottawa Cotton District School Board met last night to discuss the first step in their budget process. But as City News reporter Chris Curry tells us, the action was taking place outside.
In advance of the meeting, which was to include delegates who presented arguments on both sides of the issue of transgender students using school washrooms, the board initiated new policies, such as a smaller in-person gallery and no signs allowed inside. So many who showed up to the meeting were turned away. In the hundreds were chants rained out outside the building, along with some minor scuffles and arguments. The board did pass their budget plan, which includes staff cuts of 21 positions. Chris Curry, City News.
A new gun control law aren't likely in any Republican-led states in the U.S. following Monday's killing of 6 people at a Christian elementary school in Nashville. U.S. Republicans are moving in a different direction, introducing bills that will make it easier to arm teachers and allow college students to carry weapons on campus. On Monday, a federal judge approved a legal settlement lowering the minimum age to carry handguns without a permit in Tennessee from 21 to 18. I am Damilola Onime for News Anytime. Follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
Connecting you and your community. This is the Sam Laprade Show on City News
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to City News. I'm Sam Laprade. Wonderful to have you here today. We certainly have a very busy show for you today. Dr. Nili Kaplan-Mirth is going to join us. She, of course, is a doctor. She's been working in a family practice, and she's also been helping through the pandemic with events like Jabapalooza to try and get vaccines to some of the most vulnerable people in our community. She's also a trustee with the Ottawa Carleton District School Board. She has faced a lot of hate in that role. And quite honestly, she'll tell you she faced a lot of hate in her promotion of vaccines as well. Well, it hit a brand new level yesterday. And I wanted to spend some time with Dr. Nili Kaplan-Murth. She's going to be coming up just around 10:15, probably maybe 10:18 this morning. You'll want to stay for that. And I can't even believe that this week, for the second time, I'm going to be speaking right after the 10:30 news with Chief Danny Smythe. He's the president of the Canadian Association of Chiefs of Police. I'll be honest with you, one of the big reasons we call Chief Smythe is because of loss in this country of police officers. And I spoke with them earlier this week because, of course, they were trying to lay to rest Constables Travis Jordan, 35, and Brett Ryan, 30, who were fatally shot in Edmonton. The very same day that they're laying those two constables to rest, another officer in Quebec loses her life, a superintendent. We wanted to speak with Chief Smythe today. He's going to be joining us once again just after the 10:30 news. We're also going to go to Manotick. We want to talk a little pickleball. There's been some controversy in Manotick regarding pickleball. Have you played pickleball before? Okay, my daughter loves pickleball, and they certainly, the kids are into it, adults are into it, there's leagues. It really is becoming a very, very popular game, but it's not all fun and games in Manotick. We're going to be speaking with Lori Gazzella from the Manotick Tennis Club about pickleball. We're also going to speak with Phil Laundrie today, Director of Traffic Services for the City of Ottawa, and get an update on those speed cameras. Okay, I'm going to admit it. I got caught by a speed camera in August. I had no idea that there was one even there. I was driving somebody home, and I went about 10 kilometers over, and very embarrassed to tell you that. But I think a lot of us have gotten caught. Certainly, I have always, from that moment on, been very, very careful and tried to go the speed. But certainly lots of people in the city have gotten caught. I actually know someone that's gotten 5 tickets in one spot. So definitely need to slow down. We're also going to talk about tax season. We're going to have a principal partner from Zen Books talking about tax season guidelines. Things have changed a little bit, and we know that it's going to be really important to get those taxes done really quick this year because of a potential strike by CRA. So we're going to speak with Eric Simmer a little bit later. And Lee Honeywell's back. Lee joins us here to talk about affordability for housing from Make Housing Affordable. There's a proposal for a 4-story apartment on Baseline, and there's some resistance to that. So we're going to be speaking about that. And we're also going to speak with Carlo Lombard. He's the principal of Enough Said Media. There is a great event coming up, and our sister station, KISS, is putting on a great event called the Father-Daughter Dance, Father-Daughter Ball. We're going to be talking to Carlo Lombard about that and getting all the deets on that great event. We're also getting ready for a busy lunch today. We know that federal budget came down yesterday. We want to get the thoughts of some community members on what that federal budget has meant and what it will mean for Canadians. There's a lot of controversy about this budget in many ways. We know that the deficit in this city, or in this country, I should say, rose to $40 billion. The projection was going to be about $30 billion. So we know that Chrystia Freeland, the Minister of Finance, certainly put a lot of monies into different projects, but was it put into the right place? So we're going to be speaking and getting some reaction from some community members there. And of course, our lunch today, the OBJ Business Lunch, where we talk about all things business. Boy, do we have a mix for you today. Su Ling Ching, of course, from the Ottawa Board of Trade. She's the president. She's the CEO there. She's going to give us a sense of what's happening. We know she was part of big meetings this week with with Mr. Bettman. Gary Bettman, of course, was in town, NHL commissioner, talking about the future of the Ottawa Senators. And he had lots to say about the placement of the arena as well. So Su Ling Ching will chat a little bit about that with us. And she'll just get us updated on what's happening in the business community. And we're also going to speak with a company that maybe can take care of something that you don't want to this spring. Any guesses? Oh, well, we're going to have Daniel Dement join us to talk about something that he may be able to help you with. And we're also going to talk a little ice cream, and we're going to tie it back to President Joe Biden. We're going to do that a little bit later as well. And we're going to have the opportunity to meet somebody very special at CHEO. So we have a very, very busy show for you today. And I'm looking forward to speaking to all of our guests. Noah, I was really... This morning, I've got to be honest with you, I couldn't sleep this morning.
Yeah, why?
I just couldn't. I got lots on my mind.
Okay, yeah. I mean, you do got the big show coming up soon.
Big show. Got lots of stuff going on. But I woke up this morning, and of course, I get on there, starting to look at different videos and stuff. And there was a video of this guy who is a people walker. So you pay him $7 an hour to walk you. Okay, so
do I get a leash and everything?
Well, not a leash, but he walks you. So he picks you up at your house, similar to a dog walker. This is in California. Pays you $7 a mile. Okay, so that's how he charges. But really, as I started to watch it, because I kind of thought it was kind of kooky at the beginning.
Yeah.
But then as I watched it, I actually thought, this is actually a really good idea because...
Does he just keep you company?
He keeps you company,
does he pick up my poop? Or?
I can't, honestly. But he was really quite an interesting guy. And he was saying, listen, it keeps me in shape. I get a chance to meet some really interesting people, and it was really fascinating. So there you go. There you can make.
Yeah, that is really interesting. I never thought I would hear of a human walker.
But do you remember the show? Now I'm really dating myself because you're quite a lot younger than I am. But there was a show called King of Queens.
Oh, I love King of Queens.
Okay, so you remember Mr. Stiller,
yes,
the amazing Mr. Stiller. So he had this lovely young woman pick him up every day and take him for a walk.
Right.
But I always thought that was kind of a silly thing. But this other guy in California is actually making a living doing this, and he's actually really fascinating. He knows a lot, and so he's always sharing information. And the gentleman that they interviewed as one of the people that he picks up and walks, he said it's like therapy for him. Like
I guess there's some semblance to of you can, like you said, if he's well versed on the history, it's almost like having a little tour guide and security and kind of company all wrapped up in one little package for $7 a mile. That's kind of a steal. So.
Yeah, there you go. Well, maybe it's a side gig for me. I need to get up there and start
I would
walking.
say if you were going to walk me around, I would sign up in a heartbeat. So.
How much would you pay?
Quite a bit. I don't want to announce that on air because just in case you do sign up, we don't want to value it yet.
You are so good to me. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us here on City News. I'm Sam Laprade. Stay with us, everyone.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
It's a new season of The New Fly Fisher on Rogers TV.
On the next Fit Over 50, join us for some floor exercises. We'll be working the core, we'll be exercising your full body and stretching. We'll see you then.
It was our 35th anniversary. To celebrate, we were on our way to Mama Rosie's, where we had our first date. That's when we heard coming from the radio. So we stopped and listened. It helped us get to safety. So when I think of our anniversary, because now we have even more to celebrate.
Treaty in Cree is Naskometoin, an oral agreement. And our agreements were always spoken. For George Spence, the core of treaty was Wichihioin, to help one another.
And so we, the commissioners...
He was there for the making of Treaty 9, where the Cree were told...
We will honor this agreement together, for as long as the sun shines and the waters flow.
The Cree made their mark because they were assured that the land would be shared and they would always be able to harvest what they needed. George Spence was my great-grandfather. In his life, he saw many promises of the treaty go unfulfilled.
Treaties were essential to the creation of Canada. First Nations still fight for the agreements to be honored.
Here comes the 67. They score! How's that for your first of the season? Another highlight reel goal. Perfect placement there on the one-time. What a play! Steps scores!
He is making a statement, isn't he?
Oh, that's a beauty of a shot from the freshman.
The OHL playoffs.
What a goal!
On Rogers TV.
Hi, I'm Justice. And I'm Nia. And we believe dreams fuel revolutions. That's why we're engaging with Canadian icons and the causes they support. Join us for these inspiring conversations and find out how you can be revolutionary.
October 5th, 2014, my daughter was hit by a train. She was walking along the sides of the tracks, and it shattered her world.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
And we're back on City News. So last night, I had a busy night, doing all sorts of stuff around my house, and I sit down to get caught up on social media, and I read a post from Dr. Nili Kaplan-Murth. And I'll be honest with you, it took the breath away. I couldn't believe what I was reading, and I don't want to read it here because it's so vile. But I do want to have a conversation with Dr. Nili Kaplan-Murth, now Ottawa Carleton District School Board trustee and obviously a family physician as well. Hi, doctor.
Good morning.
I don't even know how to start our conversations. I mean, you and I have been speaking for years, and I'll be honest with you, I think this is the one that's really, really difficult for me today because I have no words to say to you of how sorry I am of the rhetoric that you received. And once again, I don't want to read it, but I do want to give listeners that aren't aware a sense of what you received. So basically, to sum it up, you've received a horrific death threat.
Yeah.
About the meeting last night. So
yeah.
Take me to your day yesterday. You're obviously a very busy doctor. You're getting ready for the board meeting. Talk to me a little bit about what happened.
Yeah. So, I mean, the truth is that I've been receiving death threats pretty much daily since our last board meeting, and then before that, I was receiving death threats since November. So it's become a frequent thing that. I'll look in my email inbox and there'll be some horrible threats to me and to my family. My husband at his work has received death threats. Like it's all quite unbelievable. But the thing yesterday is I was seeing my patients and then getting ready to go to the board meeting, knowing that it was going to be a hard meeting because at the last meeting we had challenging delegation where my role as acting chair, I had to say that the speaker needed to stop his delegation because we felt that we were crossing a line in terms of trans rights being disrespected, and that wasn't a decision I'd made on my own. It was in consultation with the senior staff who I had on either side of me, and then in conversation with other colleagues, we decided to go into recess. And sometimes that is what is necessary. It's really unfortunate. It's happening across Ontario. It's not unique to Ottawa. Mm-hmm. It's also happening around the world, and it's been happening in the United States for quite a few years, that boards of education become the battleground where people want to try to challenge basic social justice and human rights. anyway, that had been a hard meeting, and so I knew that yesterday's meeting was going to be difficult because we were inviting back the delegate to try to have him finish what he was going to say without it crossing that line, and we had some other delegations that we knew were going to be difficult. And so, we were already feeling quite stressed, and because I've been receiving death threats, the Board of Education worked really hard to come up with safety plans, changing our design of our boardroom itself so that it would be more safe in terms of the numbers of people in the room and how we were doing all that. So they put in a lot of work to prepare and a lot of conversation around how we can ensure safety. And then at about 3:24 in the afternoon, I received a really very pointed and horrific threat that I would be shot and killed if I went in person to the meeting. And it's always anti-Semitic as well. And it's always from an anonymous email. So it is reported to the police. The police are aware, and yet, there's just the question of, what, am I safe or am I not safe? And I had said I'm not going to be intimidated by people who are trying to shut down conversations about human rights, and I'm not going to be bullied or intimidated. There was a petition. There were 2 petitions that were created to say that I should have to resign for having called a recess when we felt that what was being said was transphobic. And that petition itself was taken down twice by change.org because they agreed that it contravened their principles, their sort of community principles in terms of straying into violations of human rights and of hate speech. And anyway, I did go to the meeting. It was terrifying to go, but I went because I won't be silenced. There is a sense of democracy being disrupted by, these are the same people, many of them, the characters who showed up who are outside of our board. I don't know if people have seen footage or not, but there were actually there were way more people who were there in support of trans rights, which was phenomenal. Really, really good to see that outpouring of support for the trans community in Ottawa. And but there were also people there who are frequently at things that are sort of convoy tangential. So I was happy that we were inside the building, not outside the building, so we didn't have to deal with the disruptions that were happening outside. I think the police said there were about 250 people out there. At one point, there were 20 different police cars out there. So the police did respond. I know that a lot of people have expressed concern, well, why aren't the police doing anything? Like, they are, that they're doing as much as they can. But what we have truly is a societal problem that is the sense of entitlement, that people think that they can express whatever they want, even if it is harmful to a group of a category of people, whether it's anti-Semitic, whether it's anti-Black racism, anti-Muslim racism, whether it's transphobia, homophobia. We have human rights code. We have just basic rules and guidelines that we must follow, and we have to ensure that there's safety at all times in schools for students and staff, as well as in our boardrooms. So, I feel like it was really traumatic for me to walk into that boardroom knowing that there is this threat that somebody is going to kill me if I walk into that room. But we went anyway, and we will continue to do our work. And the people who think that they can intimidate and threaten are just simply, they are very organized, and they are driven by by white supremacy. They are driven by misogyny. They are, and I'm not saying that of the delegates. I'm saying that of the people who, send the emails, the death threats.
So can I ask you? Yeah. Sorry. Can I ask you, Doctor? Are you the only one receiving this as a trustee for the Ottawa Carleton District School Board, or are other trustees receiving this and you're just more vocal about it?
So I don't know. I'm not aware of what my colleagues are receiving, and I wouldn't be able to comment on what they're receiving, even if I did know. But the pattern is one that is playing out. Police have had to be called. Directors of education have had to shut down conversations that were inappropriate or crossed lines. In other places, the Waterloo District School Board issued a public letter saying that they will not tolerate this demand to take equity, diversity, and inclusivity off of the curriculum. That there have been incidents in our own province, in the last few months. It's definitely not unique to Ottawa. So, and I don't know what kinds of letters, that those trustees are receiving. I'm definitely more of a focus of the hate, because I've also been a recipient of that sort of targeted death threats and so on because of my work as a physician. So, and it just spills over, and this is a pattern that is being repeated all around the world. That the anti-Semitism and the trend. And many of the people who are involved in targeting me are also anti-vax sort of advocates. They're so there's a lot of crossover in these areas, and I tick all the boxes, right? Because I helped to vaccinate the community. I helped to advocate for masks, for safety for our students and staff. I spoke out about anti-Semitism. I spoke out about transphobia. So I'm just kind of like the focus on me is because I keep speaking, and I think it's really important actually that, and I certainly do not share all of what I get on Twitter, but when I do, it's because the public needs to know that this is what's happening and this is what we're up against, and it will help us to moving forward figure out how to address all of the safety issues in our boardrooms, in our schools, and elsewhere. And I'm hoping. I was told that some 2 MPPs were going to be speaking with the Minister of Education today to try to talk about the issue of safety in school boards.
Well, I appreciate that there's some action taking place there. I'm sorry that we're out of time. Thank you for your time today.
Thanks for reaching out.
Dr. Nili Kaplan-Murth spending time with us today, the Ottawa Carleton District School Board trustee. I mean, there's a trustee that would, rather be talking about things that are happening in the world of education and not talking about hate. When we come back, another difficult conversation with Chief Danny Smythe regarding the death of another police officer in this country. Stay with us on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Little brown girl, Hey, I'm Picasso Win Von Teef. I'm so happy to be involved with Encore Ottawa Season 3. I can't wait for you guys to see what I have in store for you.
Hi, I'm Justice. And I'm Nia. And we believe dreams fuel revolutions. That's why we're engaging with Canadian icons and the causes they support. Join us for these inspiring conversations and find out how you can be revolutionary.
After a night out with your friends, not having a plan for a safe ride home can leave you in a bad spot. You could end up riding in a police car, an ambulance, or a hearse. These unplanned modes of transportation can be a costly choice and do not take you home. Your plan could include a designated driver, a taxi, or public transit. Drink responsibly, choose your ride, and have a plan for a safe ride home.
Visit arrivealive.org to find out more.
At Celebrate Ottawa, we love showing you something a little different. We showcase remarkable people highlighting the city's diversity in arts, culture, sports, and nature. We will show you features that prove Ottawa is a vibrant and exciting city. We'll entertain you and we'll even teach you new things. Join me, your host, Lila Grine, as we explore and celebrate Ottawa.
On the next episode of Simply Cooking by Chef, tacos aren't only for Tuesday. I make a Mexican taco feast for a crowd.
Number 1 for local news, traffic, and weather for Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News 1011 everywhere.
It is Wednesday, March 29th. Good morning. I am Damilola Unime. Right now in Ottawa, 1 degree. In Smith Falls, it is 2. And here's what's making news this hour. Federal opposition party leaders will have more to say today about Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland's latest budget. The budget includes investment in the green economy, another top-up of the GST rebates for low-income Canadians, and more than $59 billion over the next 5 years on healthcare. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre calls the budget a full frontal attack on the paychecks of hardworking Canadians, while NDP leader Jagmeet Singh says his party will support it, which will give the Liberals enough votes to pass the budget and stay in power. The group Acorn has a protest scheduled for several parts of the province today. Members are taking to the streets to protest the Ford government's housing policies. They say the provincial government is pro-development, pointing to several pieces of legislation like removing rent controls in 2018 and the more recent removal of development fees cities can charge developers. In Ottawa, the group will be gathered at the Minto Park on Lewis Street at noon. There are at least 4 other locations across Ontario. City News time is 10:32. I am Damilola Unime. For news anytime, follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
Thank you so much for staying with us here on City News. I'm Sam Laprade. We have a very busy show for you today. Our team has been working really hard to get lots of different perspectives. We're going to be speaking with Yasser Natfi a little bit later. He, of course, is the MP for Ottawa Centre. He wants to share the thoughts on the budget with us today. So I have some questions for him. So we're going to be speaking with Yasser just probably about maybe 11:10 this morning. So you'll want to stay for that. We're also going to be talking a little tax season prep with Eric Simmer. He is the principal at Zen Books and getting you ready for this tax season. It may look a little different this tax season because we know there's a possibility CRA workers will be on strike, which will mean maybe something a little bit different for your taxes this year in terms of a delay. We're also going to speak with Lee Honeywell. She's a volunteer board member for Make Housing Affordable, a bit of proposal for a 4-story apartment on Baseline. They're getting a bit of pushback on that, so we're going to be getting a chance to speak about that. We're also going to be speaking about the budget with Noor Qadri today, professor, University of Ottawa. Also ran for mayor, so interested to get his thoughts on the federal budget. And Walter Robinson's going to join us as well, former City of Ottawa executive and political commentator. We're going to talk about that federal budget. What did they like? What was missing? All those types of questions for them today. We're getting ready for a very busy business lunch as well. We're going to be talking with Su-Ling Ching, of course, the president and CEO of the Ottawa Board of Trade. And we've got lots of other guests for you today. We're going to talk a little ice cream today, and it ties back to President Joe Biden. We'll find out why that is. Lots of great guests for you. Carlo Lombard is going to spend time with as well. He's a principal with Enough Said Media. He's going to talk about the Kiss FM father-daughter ball, which is happening in a couple of weeks. And he's going to give us all the details there for maybe how you want to get involved. So that's going to be fantastic. Lots happening, of course, in our community. And if you're driving around, you'll want to hear the conversation with Phil Landry today. He's the Director of Traffic Services for the City of Ottawa. He's going to give us some updates on those speed cameras. Have you got a ticket in the mail? I did. I know. I'm a bit embarrassed about it, to be honest with you. It was on a Saturday, and I was driving somebody home, and I got nabbed. But I wanted to get an update from Phil Landry on that. So we're going to speak with him, of course, from the City of Ottawa. And pickleball. Pickleball's been in the news of late. If you've never tried pickleball, I hear it's the game. So a lot of people getting involved in that. But it's not very fun in Manotick. A lot of neighbors are complaining about the sound of the thump, thump, thump of the pickleball game. And sometimes there's 4 games going on at once, and it can be very distracting, people not enjoying their backyards and all of those good things. So we wanted to get caught up today with Lori Gonzalez. She's with the Manotick Tennis Club, and we'll talk a little pickleball. We want an opportunity to connect with Lori. I wanted to spend some time today, if you can believe it, the second time I've had this conversation with Chief Danny Smythe this week. He is the president of the Canadian Association of Chiefs of Police, and Chief Smythe joins me now. Hi, Chief.
Good morning.
Chief, it's unbelievable to me that about 48 hours ago, you and I spoke because you were in Edmonton and you were about to do a procession with all police officers all over the country to lay to rest 2 fallen police officers, Travis Jordan, Brett Ryan, 35 and 30 years old, just young men. And on the very same day, you're laying these 2 police officers to rest. About 8:30 that night, Sergeant Maureen Bro lost her life. I thought of you immediately, Chief. I thought, I can't even imagine what would be going through your mind. Take me to the minute you found out.
Well, certainly that was a difficult day on Monday. There were thousands of police officers across Canada that came together, and they were there to support the families, of course, and Edmonton Police Service and each other, frankly. But, I went to bed that night not really knowing this had occurred and was feeling, pretty good. It's always a mixed feeling when you leave those events because you see the camaraderie, you see the support that everyone has for each other. So when I woke up in the morning to learn of the death of Sergeant Brew, it was a gut punch. As a leader, we were not expecting this to happen again so soon. So, I'm in Ottawa right now, actually, and we're meeting with the CACP board this week, and certainly this will be one of the topics that we talk about, and just to see what more we can do to try to help lead us through this terrible time.
My understanding that this is the 8th police officer to lose their life since September in a 6-month period.
Yeah, in my time, and I've been a cop for over 37 years. I don't recall a time like this where we had so many. 8 that have been violently killed, but there was a 9th officer there that was killed on his way to work by an alleged drunk driver.
Oh,
so
right.
It's been a really tough time all across the country, and I was speaking to my colleagues at the Sûreté de Quebec, and we'll be there for them as well, but it's just a gut punch for all of us.
And when you think about the way that these police officers have passed away, there's been a theme, not for all of them, but certainly for some, is that there are for the perpetrators of these crimes, there's a history there. And sometimes there's, I think about the young man that lost his life and that was somebody that hadn't showed up for under bail conditions and there's a history of crime there. What does this say about the justice system as a whole to you, Chief?
Well, the justice system has a role, but I think there's more to this than that. So certainly it's a very complex problem. Bail reform, as you mentioned, is one of the issues. And, that was really highlighted well with Constable Prusechuk in OPP there with the circumstances of his death. But firearms comes into play, mental health comes into play. All of these things have contributed. And you add to the mix the trauma that we've all experienced coming through the pandemic. I think it's just really further exacerbated things. So, it's complex. I think, we've done a lot of work to advance some of these areas. We've done a lot of communication and looking for opportunities to collaborate with both the government and even our police unions. But, we'll have another brainstorming session later today to discuss some of these things and just see if we can pull some of these threads together.
And we see obviously the death of these officers and obviously all Canadians weep as all of you do for the loss of these individuals. And then we think about just people living their everyday lives, unprovoked attacks. We think about the 16-year-old young boy that lost his life in Toronto. I read a horrific story today about a father that his toddler was close by and someone was vaping. And he asked the person to stop vaping near his toddler, and he was killed. I mean, these kinds of attacks taking place in Canada, and I don't follow this like you do, Chief, but certainly it just feels like every single day there's something.
Well, and I think I alluded to some of our observations here, and just about every major city and many smaller cities are going through a lot of the same issues. There's just this heightened anger and anxiety as we come out of the pandemic, and we're seeing a lot of senseless behavior. Some of it's mental health related, some of it's homeless related. It's become a very complex thing, and it's something that I think the police and justice has a role in, but there's so many other stakeholders that we need to collaborate with.
Are police officers, are they nervous?
I don't get that sense right now. We're certainly feeling the weight of the circumstances in the last 6 months. Even in light of all the tragedies that have been experienced by various services, I see that dedication and that willingness to get right back out there and continue on with duties. But it's going to have an impact. If you look at almost any major service in the country, they're all carrying a certain number of post-traumatic stress type injuries that are related to the environment that we're in.
Do you think this type of violence across the country in the last 6 months affects your opportunity for you and chiefs all across this country to recruit?
Well, it's still largely dependent on what part of the country you're in. Cities like Vancouver and Toronto are starting to feel some experiences around that, but some of it's to do with just the cost of living in those various places. I reside in Winnipeg, and we're still seeing decent numbers of people applying to come into the profession. But the thing with a place like Winnipeg, we tend to attract our own. So, but I think it certainly puts a focus on these things, and one of the things we have to ensure is the wellness of our own members and paying attention to that.
How does all this weigh on you, Chief? In your role, the meetings you'll have today, is there, and obviously you're all professional, but is there emotion at those meetings, or do you really try to keep it very contained?
Well, at the level that I'm at with the CACP, there's an extra layer, of course, just because I'm traveling to these cities, meeting with the chiefs and the various officials. So it really becomes real when you get to be in the communities and share in the experiences. I got to tell you, even in Edmonton, it was bitterly cold on Monday, and yet there were thousands of people lined up on the streets, and that was a really nice gesture by the citizens there, and a lot of the police officers that marched really took notice, and it certainly helps to get through these kinds of tragedies.
Chief, I don't want you to take this the wrong way, but I hope we don't talk for a really long time.
Well, not on this topic.
Not on this topic.
I certainly appreciate that City has taken the time to really be interested in these stories. Mm-hmm. I think sometimes we focus on all the negative, but there's another side to policing, and the people side is important.
And let's continue to talk. But you're right on this topic, not at all. But future topics, I'm happy to have you on anytime.
For sure. Thanks very much.
My pleasure. Chief Danny Smythe joining us today, President of the Canadian Association of Chiefs of Police. We are sending our condolences to Sergeant Maureen Bro's family, to the people of Quebec. We know that the Premier came out, Premier Legault came out and sent his condolences as well. We're thinking about all police officers in this country. It is not an easy job. Every single day, they put their lives on the line, and we do appreciate it. Stay with us on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Play 4 games of bingo from the comfort of your own home each Monday at 7 p.m. for your chance to win money from our $2,000 regular bingo or $5,000 super bingo night. Kiwanis TV Bingo, Mondays at 7 p.m. on Rogers TV.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too. Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
On Thursday's Daytime Ottawa, we'll meet Aero Meso Cafe and Bakery. They're going to be on the show showcasing some of their flavor-filled croissants and something called a cookie cake. Oh my goodness, it is going to be absolutely delicious on the show. We'll also tell you about a great nonprofit arts and crafts school, and we'll give you all the details on the latest production from Tactics. All that and more on Thursday's Daytime Ottawa.
Hey everybody, my name is Karen. I'm here with my best friends Shane and Monique. Join us on Rogers TV for Fitness Faction. Every week we're going to take you through a full body workout. We've got strength training, we've got cardio, we've got HIIT. Ladies, let's get back into it.
I think we've got 10 more skaters. Let's go.
Here comes the 67. They score! How's that for your first of the season? Another highlight reel goal. Perfect placement there on the one-time. What a play! Stepswell scores!
He is making a statement, isn't he?
Oh, that's a beauty of a shot from the freshman.
The OHL playoffs.
What a goal!
On Rogers TV.
Bum, 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 bum. $20. $20. We're on the line for $20.
Here comes the 67. They score! How's that for your first of the season? Another highlight reel goal. Perfect placement there on the one-time. What a play!
67's action on Rogers TV.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Okay, who's up for a little pickleball? It has really become quite a popular game. You know, kids my daughter's age playing it, a lot of adults playing it. It really has become very popular, and it's become very popular in Manotick. Lori Gonzala joins me now from the Manotick Tennis Club. Hi, Lori.
Hi, Sam. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. So for those that don't know what pickleball is, because it's kind of a funny name, Lori, talk to me a little bit about what it is so we can start there.
Yeah, it's a paddle game. You play it with a paddle on something about the size of a badminton court, and there's a plastic wiffle ball. So when I describe it to people, I kind of say, imagine playing ping pong, but you're standing on the table.
perfect way to describe it. I'm going to steal that. Okay, Laura?
Yeah.
I'm going to steal that.
All yours.
So we know that Manotick, I love Manotick, by the way. I'm there a lot. I live in Richmond now, and we're always in Manotick doing something. So that beautiful Manotick Tennis Club right there beside, I believe it's the Centennial Arena. Is that correct?
Correct.
Right.
Yes, we've been there for more than 30 years.
And it's such a beautiful location, and on a beautiful summer night, lots of people enjoying that facility. So walk me through the and I'll call it a little bit of drama regarding pickleball, because some of the neighbors are hearing that sort of thump, 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 right?
Yeah, we had introduced pickleball back in 2018 at the community, at the request of the community. And we just chalked some lines on courts and said, hey, who wants to play pickleball? And 30 people showed up, and it just kind of grew from there. So we operate on city property, so we asked the city for permission to put pickleball courts where one tennis court used to be, received that permission, and then applied, because it was so wildly popular, we applied for a grant to increase the size of the playing field for 6 pickleball courts. And we started community consultations in 2022. We received the grant from the city, and we committed to raising $150,000. And when we started the community consultation process last spring, it became very clear that the neighbors were very concerned about the noise.
Mm-hmm. So there's kind of two things here, right? And there's if you're going to move beside a sporting facility, you've got to expect sports to take place, right? It depends on who's there first, right? And then there's the whole sort of perspective of respecting the neighbors. So walk me through a little bit about what's happened so far, Lori.
Yeah. So after we heard from the community, and I will say that the majority of the community was in support of the expansion, but we had significant concerns from the neighbors about noise. And because we're a community club, we all live in the community, we said that we were no longer going to entertain expanding at that location. And so we told that to our members at the AGM last fall. And we received written notice from the city on the 17th of March that we weren't going to be able to play pickleball at our existing courts anymore.
So it's all gone away then, Lori?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's city property, so if the city says we can't play, we can't play.
Mm-hmm. So what's the plan? Are you planning on finding a field somewhere? I don't know where else to sort of word it.
Well, it's tricky because it's kind of last minute, and we have several hundred pickleball players who are looking for a place to play. And because pickleball is so popular, all the other clubs are already full. Mm-hmm. So we've been working with city staff and David Brown. I'm sure you spoke to him yesterday about trying to find some options outside the city for play, or options in arenas, which is obviously not ideal in the summertime.
Mm-hmm. Well, it is. It's disappointing for sure for so many, and I do understand from a neighbor's perspective too. It's not that I don't have, a soft spot for that, but it's disappointing because it's so hard to get people out there, playing to begin with, to do any sort of activity, and then you get people all excited about it, and now there's nowhere to play, right?
Yeah, and that's the big thing I think we're most disappointed about, is that in 4 years we built such a great community of pickleballers. We had people coming out to play that we had never seen before. As you said, we had younger children playing pickleball because it's easy to pick up. We had, an uptick in membership, and we had a community club where we could offer both tennis and pickleball to people, and about 10% of our members do play both. So now we're in a situation where that community's gone away, and we don't have anywhere for them to play.
Well, you could kind of say, Lori, you're in a bit of a pickle, right?
I'm going to steal that from you.
There you go. We each shared something today. Lori, thank you so much for your time today.
No problem. Thanks,
Lori
Sam.
Gonzala joining us from the Manotick Tennis Club. Some sad news for pickleball, I should say. We wanted to speak with Vicky Kiriakou today, General Manager of the Ottawa Student Transportation Authority. Hello, Vicky.
Good morning.
Have you ever played pickleball before?
can't say that I have. I have terrible eye-hand coordination.
There you go. You'll stick to running school buses in this city then, right?
That's right.
So you put out a survey. People responded. What did you hear about school bus service in this city?
Well, what we did here is that things are starting to move back to normal levels, which is really good news. During the COVID period, we saw that there was quite a few students who would normally have been on the bus were being driven to school, because there were some concerns about, the health environment within the bus itself. And I could totally understand that. So it was great. This time around, we had our mode selection was getting back to the bus, which is really important because that avoids traffic around the schools.
And so when you put out a survey like this, does it really sort of guide you even for the next year?
Really what we're looking at is just to see what's happening with mode selection. It doesn't necessarily guide us because our eligibility parameters actually help us decide which modes we're going to assign students to. But what we want to see then is how are parents reacting to our selections? If they don't like the bus they're driving, or maybe they've chosen not to ride the bus, and we've got some stats on that, and they're walking instead. Isn't that amazing?
Right.
So those kinds of really interesting family dynamics and choices kind of help us develop some resources to help those who want to walk and roll to school.
Beautiful. I never thought about that. That there's positive here. I think we certainly in my role, Vicky, I'm always looking for, is there something negative, right? But there's a positive side there too, which is great. Are you still looking for school bus drivers? We've had this conversation a few times, but I'll put out the call there if you're looking for anybody.
Oh, we absolutely do. We are still in a deficit for drivers, and we'll be launching a new ad campaign again. We're back to kind of square one because we've lots of new drivers, but also lots of drivers have left. And there's a wonderful article in the Citizen, actually, regarding Trustee Sandra Moore, who became a bus driver, and it explains her journey. And I think it's just a wonderful example of a person in the community deciding they wanted to participate in driving kids to school and helping them have access to education. So I really recommend anyone go and read that as well.
Well, it's really interesting. I was with my daughter yesterday, and she said, Mom, I just want to tell you, I really like my bus driver. And I was like, I need to phone Vicky because that's what you want to hear students say, right? That they feel a connection and she even, she's 15. She even acknowledged, that's a big job they have every day. So there's lots of great work being done. And as I've said to you 1,000 times, I just don't think you or any of those school bus drivers get enough love. So,
well, we really appreciate that, and we are having our Driver Appreciation Day. There's going to be a message going out to all the school kids out there to create cards, and then we send those special thank you cards off to drivers, and they get to see firsthand how much they are appreciated.
Oh, that's very sweet. She'll be right into that. She'll do that for
awesome.
Sure. Vicky, thank you so much for your time.
Take care.
Vicky Kiriakou, General Manager of the Ottawa Student Transportation Authority. She's got a very big job there. If you're looking to be a school bus driver, driveyellow.ca is where you go to learn all about those opportunities, and certainly you can provide that service to the community. It's great for people that are retired, people that are maybe working from home, but maybe only part-time. So there's lots of opportunities there for you to get involved. When we come back, we're going to stay on the roads and talk about those speed cameras with Phil Landry, Director of Traffic Services for the City of Ottawa. Come back, join us on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Hi, my name is Arkantel and I'm part of Encore Ottawa. My set will be coming out this week, so I hope you can watch it and enjoy it. Thank you.
Every year, dozens of Canadians are killed or seriously injured because they take risks around railway tracks. Talk to your loved ones about rail safety. Visit stoptracktragedies.ca.
Summer days, summer nights, lots of things to do, places to go, and people to see. If you're having a few drinks, be sure to plan ahead and get home safely. We don't want to pick you up. Drinking drivers risk injuries to themselves and others and take chances with their license, their jobs, and their future. Remember what's at stake and choose your ride, whether you're the driver, the passenger, or the party host. Thanks for supporting sober driving. I hope we never meet.
Visit ArriveAlive.org to find out more.
Hi, I'm Meg from AIM Fitness, and I'm here with my buddy Fit Finley. Join us every week for Fit Over 50. We'll take you through some low-impact and high-intensity workouts designed to improve your strength and your balance. All you'll need is a resistance band, some light hand weights, and also your water bottle and a sturdy chair. Tune in right here on Rogers TV and let us be part of your weekly routine.
Here comes the 67. He scores! How's that for your first of the season?
Another highlight reel goal.
Perfect placement there on the one-time. What a play!
67's action on Rogers TV.
It's a new season of The New Fly Fisher on Rogers TV.
City News.
CIWW 1310 AM in Ottawa.
And CJET 1011 FM in Smiths Falls and the Valley. Number 1 for local news, traffic, and weather for Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News 1011 everywhere.
It is Wednesday, March 29th. Good morning. I am Damilola Unime. Right now in Ottawa, mostly cloudy, 1 degree. In Smiths Falls, it is 2. And here's what's making news in Ottawa and the Valley. A measure in the federal budget kept the NDP happy and on side in the budget vote, dental care. It is being expanded by the end of the year to give more people coverage. Opposition leader Pierre Poilievre says the Conservatives do not support that move.
The risk is that folks will end up with worse coverage than they had before. The other question is, if we're spending $12 billion on this, they're going to end up raising taxes on the same working class people they claim to be helping, who are going to have less money to pay for other things.
The Conservative leader tells Wake Up with Rob Snow there are more details to come, but he suspects while big on promises and spending, it will be low on results. With the weather forecast for Ottawa and the Valley, here is City News weather specialist Denise Andriachi.
Chance of showers and mixed precipitation today for Ottawa and Smiths Falls as we move through this afternoon and evening. We also dip down to near -10 overnight, so quite cold Thursday morning. Although we will be done with the active weather Thursday, we're expecting quite a bit of sunshine. It's really cold and below seasonal. Highs only near +1 tomorrow. Some mixing expected again Friday, but also just 10 to 15 millimeters of straight rain with about a centimeter possible mixing in. Highs near 2 degrees. Our guaranteed high for today, 7.
City News time is 11:02 now. Beer and wine producers and restaurant owners might be raising a toast to the federal budget as a planned 6% increase in beer and wine taxes that was set to take effect this Saturday has been rolled back. City News senior business editor Mike Eppel has the story.
It was a big lobbying effort, a high-profile ad campaign featuring Canadian icons Bob and Doug McKenzie that's paid off for beer and wine producers. The budget puts a cap on the annual increase in the excise tax on alcohol at 2%. It was supposed to go up at the rate of inflation, which would have seen it jump 6.3% April 1st. CJ Healy is the president of Beer Canada.
A 6.3% increase would have been just devastating, not just to brewers, as you mentioned, Mike, but beer consumers and the restaurant business. So 2% is, we're not going to have a parade for a beer tax hike, but 2% is kind of a hurdle. You can clear a hurdle. 6.3% is a barrier. You can't clear a barrier.
Restaurant owners were also calling for a reduction in the beer, wine, and spirits tax, saying it would just be another hit to the industry and consumers. Other sin taxes, though, on cigarettes will still be going up more than 6%. Mike Eppel, City News.
And a man is in police custody for an assault in a daycare center on Cumberland Street. The incident happened Tuesday morning. Police were called after a man entered the building and began assaulting a daycare worker. Ottawa Police confirms the worker was not injured and no children witnessed the assault. Community officers are following up with the daycare centre. I am Damilola Unime for News Anytime. Follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News.
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
Okay, we all see those signs. We all see the cameras. We wanted to get an update from Phil Landry today, Director of Traffic Services for the City of Ottawa, what those speed cameras are doing. Welcome to the show, Phil.
Hi, Sam. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. So I told a little secret earlier. I'm going to tell you too, okay?
Okay.
I got a ticket.
Oh, no.
I did. But I'm not alone, right? So walk me through what we're seeing here in terms of speed cameras in the city.
Yeah, so the city's installed to date 17 speed cameras. They've been focused near schools. And the goal of the program is really to get those speeds down near schools. There's some areas where we're seeing a lot of cars that are traveling 15 to 20 kilometers over the speed limit. And when you got that happening near schools, it's really an unsafe condition. So what we've done is we took a look at all the schools in the city a few years ago and identified those locations where we had really those high speed, and that's where we focused to install those cameras. And the impact has been a real reduction in operating speeds where we've installed those cameras. So on average, we've seen the average speed go down by 10 kilometers an hour. High-end speeders, which we consider anybody going 15 kilometers per hour above the speed limit, has gone down by about 12% in terms of total usage. And similarly, the compliance, which is we want people to travel the speed limit. And when you've got those higher speeds, that compliance really isn't there. So that compliance is increased by an average of 59%. So we're starting to see some real benefits in terms of the cameras and the impacts and making our roads near schools safer.
And give me a sense, Phil, in terms of revenue. Is this revenue for the city or for the province? I can never remember that.
Yeah, it's revenue for the city, and what council approved back in a few years ago when the program was approved was that all that revenue gets reinvested into road safety. So we pay the cost of the program, and anything that's left over goes to our road safety action plan. And that program is implementing measures to reduce fatal and serious injury collisions. So a report actually went to committee last week that sort of talked about our work plan for 2023 in that program. So we're looking at trying to make our roads safer by out in the rural areas, putting gravel shouldering. There's skewed intersections out there where it creates potential collisions. So we're trying to fix those in the city. It's improving intersections from cycling perspective to provide cycle tracks and protected intersections for pedestrians, enhancing crosswalks and even just for motorists at intersections with left turns, protecting them so that we get rid of those high angle collisions that tend to lead to serious injuries and fatalities.
A really important conversation today, Phil. I promised to slow down. That really taught me a lesson, I'll be honest. I didn't even know there was a camera there, and I feel horrible about it. It was on a Saturday, and I still feel bad about it. But certainly I've got my eye out, and we'll make sure we stay nice and slow in those school zones.
Yeah, and every location where we do have the cameras, we do have signs posted in terms of the cameras there. And the provincial regulations, when they were first enacted a few years ago, requires us to actually have those signs up 90 days before the cameras are installed. So in 2023, we are expanding the program by another 17 locations. The majority are going to be in school zones where, again, we're still seeing those higher speeds, but Council's also asked us to expand the program to look at parks where there's a lot of activities and pedestrians and people in the area. And they also want us to pilot a couple of high-speed locations. And so that pilot, we've identified a couple of locations, and we're going to install the camera. We're going to monitor it. We're actually going to do a survey next year to get sort of the feedback from residents in terms of what they feel from their perspective the cameras have done.
For sure.
And we'll be collecting the data. And all these locations that we do select is based on data to try to where we're seeing those high speeds occurring so that we can make our roads safer.
Thanks so much, Phil. I appreciate your time. We'll stay in touch and we'll chat when that survey comes out as well.
Great. Nice to talk to you.
Phil Landry, Director of Traffic Services, the City of Ottawa. Always a pleasure to speak with Phil. We wanted to speak with Yasser Natfi today, MP for Ottawa Centre. Hello, Yasser.
Good morning, Sam. How are you?
Good. Big day yesterday, of course. Federal budget brought down by the Liberals. How do you feel about the budget that your Prime Minister put forward?
Yeah, thank you very much. You know, budgets are always very important days because they really highlight a government's priority and as to how they're going to be addressing some of the key issues facing members of our community. And I'm feeling good about this budget because I believe it's really focused. And it's really focused on three most important things that I think are facing all of us. So one, affordability, making sure in these inflationary times where cost of living is up because of the pandemic, that there's support for everyday Canadians, members of our community. So things like a grocery rebate that has been announced in this budget will go a long way in helping the most marginalized, the most vulnerable in our community. The second thing is healthcare. I mean, everywhere I go in our community in Ottawa, some people are talking about healthcare, how they don't have a family doctor or they are waiting for hours at the hospital to see a doctor in emergency, or just simple thing around dental care for those who cannot afford it. This budget really addresses that issue by transferring billions of dollars to provinces who are responsible for providing health care, but also creating a new dental care plan for those Canadians who do not have an insurance, who make $90,000 or less, to ensure that they will now have access to good dental care. And lastly, it's about jobs. It's making sure that we're creating good jobs, that we're growing our country. And as we know that as we're fighting climate change, there's a great opportunity to create jobs in all those sectors that are creating solutions to effectively fight climate change. And Canada should be leading on that. And this budget invests in those businesses who are creating those important jobs in our communities across the country.
We know the projected deficit was to be probably about $30 billion. We see it at $40 billion. Does that keep you up at night, Yasser?
Yeah, I mean, we always have to find a balance to ensure that we are not spending more than we cannot afford. But we are living through an extraordinary period of time. A lot of the new spending came in was during the pandemic so that we can help Canadians live through the pandemic, especially when the economy was shut down. And so that was important investment in Canadians, and that allowed us to come out of the pandemic in a very healthy place. And I think the result is that the Canadian economy is rebounding faster than many places in the world. Our unemployment rate is one of the lowest right now in the history of Canada. So those are important things. But when it comes to ensuring that we are investing in Canadians, especially as it relates to their health or their just day-to-day needs, and in the future of the kind of jobs that all of us will need, these are important priorities that the government had to really focus their investment in, because I really do believe that we will get much higher return for it in the future.
And when you think about veterans in this country, we know that veterans for decades now have said they're underserved by the federal government and under the Liberals. Do you think you're doing all you can for veterans?
I think there's always more can be done for veterans because they have made tremendous sacrifices for all of us, and so we always have to find ways to assist them. One of the things that I'm always concerned about and feel extremely challenged and saddened is when I see veterans who are homeless. They deserve so much better, and that's why investment in creating affordable housing that allows allows for veterans to have appropriate supports and a roof over their head is extremely important. So I think a short answer to your question is there's a lot being done, but there's always more can be done to ensure that veterans are properly thanked for their sacrifices.
So the day after this budget, do you think Canadians are better off, or are they worse off? I mean, we think about some money is going towards what you're referring to as sort of a grocery incentive there, when it might be just a tax sort of incentive as opposed to I think that was a bit of a comms thing that you've done in terms of calling it grocery, because that's more relatable for people. But do you think that Canadians are better off today?
Yeah, I think Canadians will find that they will be better off because the government is really focusing on things that's important to them. It's about their day-to-day living. It's about their health. It's about their jobs. And in the end of the day, I think those are the three most important things that people want their government to be focused on. Sam, there's a lot of priorities and there's a lot of things a government could do. And governing is about making choices. And this government is choosing to help people in their day-to-day living, is choosing to make sure that people stay healthy, is choosing to make sure that people have good jobs in a changing world. And so that highlights the government's priority, which I think is very much aligned with what people want from their government and in their own lives.
And we know that the visit of President Joe Biden last week, it's certainly been a busy few days for all of you. I saw a picture of the president speaking, and you were in the background, big smile on your face. Was that an uplifting time for you, Yasser?
Yeah, it was quite a moment. I mean, I've never been that close to the President of the United States of America. I mean, so that alone, as you can imagine, is an interesting opportunity. And Joe Biden, as an individual, as a politician, has been in our sort of collective lives for a long, long time. And somebody like myself who follows politics or is in elected office, I think it was a really interesting and a moment to be part of. But most importantly, his message. I mean, Canada and the United States are so intrinsically linked. We are so close to each other. There's not a single Canadian, perhaps, who does not have a family member or a friend who's an American. And so this is a relationship that lasts any type of imagination we can think of. And so to have the president be in our parliament, speak to Canadians, and speak in such relatable terms, I think it was really meaningful, and it really demonstrated our shared priorities between the two countries and how close we are, and how each of our collective individual success is the collective success of both these countries and the people who make themselves part of North America.
I know how busy you are, Yasser. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Sam.
Yasser Nadvi joining us, MP for Ottawa Centre, talking about that big federal budget that was brought down yesterday, as well as his time with the president, who visited last week. When we come back, we're going to talk a little tax with Eric Simmerer. He's the principal at Zen Books. Are you getting ready for tax season? We know Eric is. Stay with us here on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
On the next Fit Over 50, join us for some floor exercises. We'll be working the core, we'll be exercising your full body and stretching. We'll see you then.
Hi, I'm Justice. And I'm Nia. And we believe dreams fuel revolutions. That's why we're engaging with Canadian icons and the causes they support.
Join us for these inspiring conversations and find out how you can be revolutionary.
At St. John Ambulance, we're all about community. We teach life-saving skills and provide community support through our volunteer services. All St. John Ambulance product sales and training registrations support these important services. Volunteer, donate, or enroll in a program today so we can continue to have an impact on our community. Visit sja.ca to learn more. At St. John Ambulance, we do more than save lives, we change lives.
Monsieur de Champlain, when I finish paddling through this wilderness and reach China, I shall greet them wearing this.
The
Monsieur Nicolet, your mission shall be for the honor of the king and the Holy Faith.
In the summer of 1634, Jean Nicolet set off from Quebec to find a trade route that would link Europe and North America with China.
But where is it? Further. I know the place you are seeking.
For months, Nicolet pushed through the wilderness, searching for the Western Sea.
Goja! Mississippi!
What did he say? He says, Mississippi, great water. Mississippi, the sea, China.
Jean Nicolet was wrong. It was Lake Michigan, not the Pacific. But others would follow his dream. Joliet, La Salle, the La Vérendrye's, and they would map most of North America from the Rockies to the Gulf of Mexico.
Here comes the 67. They score! How's that for your first of the season?
Another highlight reel goal.
Perfect placement there on the one-time. What a play! Steps one, scores!
He is making a statement, isn't he?
Oh, that's a beauty of a shot from the freshman.
The OHL playoffs.
What a goal!
On Rogers TV.
October 5th, 2014, my daughter was hit by a train. She was walking along the sides of the tracks, and it shattered her world.
Little brown girl, little brown girl.
Hey, I'm Picasso Win Von Teef. I'm so happy to be involved with Encore Ottawa Season 3. I can't wait for you guys to see what I have in store for you.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News.
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
I don't know if you're like me, but I look at that shoebox of all the stuff I need for my taxes and I think I need to go into that shoebox and get this done because tax season is going to be very different this year. We wanted to speak with Eric Samir, principal at Zen Books, about all things taxes. Hi, Eric.
Hi. Hi, Sam. How are you?
Are you heartbroken to hear that I have a shoebox?
We'll figure it out. Don't worry.
Do most Canadians have a shoebox, Eric?
Absolutely, yeah. All these medical expenses and donations and all of that, and then it makes it so hard to and stressful to file your taxes every year, for sure.
Absolutely. So talk to me a little bit about this year. We know that this year may look a little bit different if CRA workers go on strike, but how can we as Canadians be the most prepared for tax season this year?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, the first thing is that the deadline for this year for your personal taxes is actually May 1st, 2023. So typically it's April 30th, but it falls on a Sunday, so we actually get an extra day. So so don't take it for granted. The CRA is nice sometimes, but anything can happen. So make sure to get your taxes filed early regardless. And so there's also for self-employed people. So if someone has like a little side hustle or an unincorporated business, they actually have until June 15th. So they have a little bit more time, even though they have to pay their taxes by April 30th. They have a few extra days to actually file it. So, how can they get prepared? I mean, this year there's a few kind of small changes. So, there's the Ontario Staycation Tax Credit. So I hope you saved your receipts for any kind of travel you did within Ontario, because there's a 20% refund on eligible costs. So, dig up those receipts. If you're going through a hotel, motel, bed and breakfast, all that kind of stuff, that's all covered up to $1,000 in costs this year. So that's one of the big changes for sure.
Well, that's excellent. I'm thinking, okay, I went to Toronto on this day. We went to Kingston for a soccer tournament. So it's a good reminder, right? Because sometimes you forget about those incentives.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, one of the other, I guess, big changes too, there's the, disability tax credit. If you have diabetes or if someone has diabetes, then they'd be eligible to file the disability tax credit. The first-time home buyers credit is actually going up. It's doubling up from the $750 to $1,500. As if, it's going to help on the home prices. I mean, the average home price in Ottawa is already $700,000. So an extra couple $100, I guess it helps. And yeah, the other thing too is that if you repaid any of the COVID benefits in the last year, you actually also have to file what's called a T1B so that you can get that adjusted on your taxes.
Mm-hmm. I have to tell you, Eric, when I think back to going to school, I wish there would have been a course on this type of thing, financial literacy, doing your taxes, because it can be, we've spoke before, it can be a little bit, nerve-wracking for people, a little bit stressful for people that feel that it's, that it's something that maybe they can't tackle on their own. What would you say to somebody that maybe stresses about it and businesses like yours can maybe take away some of that stress?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think a big part of it is the confidence, right? Like, to be frank, like most people have a very simple tax return. Once you know what you're doing, it's pretty straightforward. So we typically advise people to try and file their own taxes if they're pretty straightforward, which is the case for the large majority of Canadians. But as soon as it's not, you can get a free consultation from an accountant that might even be able to answer some of your questions, so you could do it yourself, or you could actually hire them to do their return. So yeah, we do a bunch of personal taxes this time of year. So for sure, this is a busy time. Yeah.
And when we think about all of the different, we think about we get that some people get that GST rebate or HST rebate and those types of things. It sometimes is hard to track all of that. Eric, how best is it to do that and all the childcare as well? Sometimes there's some benefits for childcare.
Yeah. So when you file your personal tax return, the actual software summarizes all of this stuff on some cover letter that they put together that's all automated. So as long as you keep that sheet, it should give you dates as to when you're going to get payments for GST, HST, for what some people call the baby bonus when you have kids, so that sheet really helps you kind of keep track of things. What some of the, I guess, other little things that have happened this year that is important as well for individuals is there's this new Canada dental benefit that you need to apply for outside of your personal taxes. So that needs to be done on the CRA website. And the same thing for the Canada housing benefit. So that's basically a bump for any low-income renters as well. And that's outside of the personal tax return. So I would also recommend people, as a hot tip is for people to get their CRA online account in order to make those applications in a very seamless, easy way.
Mm-hmm.
So for sure, that's something that people should be doing.
Good advice. And for the very first time, my daughter worked in 2022. She's, at the time she was 14, just turning 15. What do we have to think about maybe someone that's filing their very first tax return?
Yeah, I mean, most of the time when people are young like that, like there's the basic personal tax credit that's basically going to cover the large majority of that income. So they don't have any taxes owing. So basically, it's a nice little training ground for people to file their own tax return, and it's usually pretty straightforward, and it gets them into the groove of doing it, understanding how it works. Some people say that you don't have to actually file your return, but it's actually in your benefit. You get like a GST credit back. You get, all these other little benefits from the CRA. So you may as well file them even if you're under 18. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'll make sure to run home tonight and tell her that, Eric. She'll be thrilled, I'm sure. But you're right. It is good to get going early, and then it just becomes what you do every April. So so very smart there. Eric, always appreciate what you bring to our show, talking at tax time. Thank you again.
Yeah, thanks, Sam.
Eric Sumer joining us, principal at Zen Books. It is that time, everyone. And you heard from Eric. We have one more day this year. May 1st is that deadline. But don't wait. We know CRA employees potentially may be going on strike. So we want to get all of that done very, very quickly. We're going to speak with Lee Honeywell when we come back, volunteer board member with Make Housing Affordable, about a 4-story apartment on Baseline. It's getting some pushback. Stay with us here on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Hi, I'm Justice.
And I'm Nia. And we believe dreams fuel revolutions.
That's why we're engaging with Canadian icons and the causes they support.
Join us for these inspiring conversations and find out how you can be revolutionary.
it's closing time, and you stayed out longer than you planned. So now you can't drive, and the buses have stopped running. You could always call your girlfriend. Or maybe your roommate? What about your best friend? You could just dial 1-888-TAXI-GUY or use the Taxi Guy app. The call and the app are free, and they both connect you to a local cab company to bring you home safely. Visit arrivealive.org to find out more. Arrive Alive, drive sober.
Hey folks, it's me, Giovanni Patini, the host of the RTV quiz show, the hottest show on television. It's the hilarious quiz show where you, the viewers, play for valuable non-existent prizes. It's got great trivia, fun facts, and a lot of laughs, all blended together in a perfect cocktail of edutainment. So join us Wednesdays at 7:30 right here on Rogers TV. Nice.
On the next episode of Simply Cooking by Chef, tacos aren't only for Tuesday. I make a Mexican taco feast for a crowd.
One for local news, traffic, and weather for Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News 1011 everywhere.
It is Wednesday, March 29th. Good morning. I am Damilola Onime. Right now in Ottawa, 3 degrees. In Smith Falls, it is 5. And here's what's making news this hour. The federal NDP is taking a victory lap this morning, with Leader Jagmeet Singh congratulating his MPs for pushing the Liberals to adopt several measures in the federal budget. The $490.5 billion budget handed down yesterday includes another top-up of the GST rebates for low-income Canadians and money to expand the NDP's push for a national dental care program. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre calls the budget a full frontal attack on the paychecks of hardworking Canadians and says his party wouldn't be voting in favor of the budget. And Ottawa police are asking for your help locating a missing teenager. 17-year-old Leila Al-Hariri has been missing since March 20th when she was last seen in the area of Georgina Drive in the city's West End. Police now believe she may be in Toronto or Montreal. A picture and description of Leila is at our website, ottawa.citynews.ca. If you spot her or have any information, you're asked to contact police. City News Time, 11:31. I am Damilola Unime. For news anytime, follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
And we're back on City News. Thank you for joining us. We wanted to spend some time today with Lee Honeywell. She is with Make Housing Affordable, a board member there. Lee, it seems like we're having a conversation every single week about affordable housing in this city and some community that doesn't want it in their backyard.
It's really unfortunate. Like people need houses, people need places to live. We're dealing with a 2.1% vacancy rate in this town. It's shocking when we see like newcomers unable to find places to live. We hear stories about Ukrainians moving back to literally a war-torn country because they can't afford the rent here. It's bonkers. It is unhospitable of us to not be building more housing. Yet we have these like small little developments, 18 units. This is, it's going to make a meaningful difference in terms of the housing supply, but people don't want, a shadow over their backyard.
And let's give people, and thank you for that, let's give people a sense of where this is. So this is 222 Baseline Road. So it's near Fisher, and there's a parcel of land there that has been earmarked for this proposal. My understanding, as you mentioned, 18 units, and the community doesn't want the shadow over their backyards. Is that it?
I'm a little glib about the shadow in the backyard. I think the primary objection with this building, from what I've seen from the community association, is actually around the lack of parking and the lack of access to existing transit. And we've got this sort of chicken and egg thing happening where we don't have density, so we don't have rapid transit, but then people don't want to build more density but how do we then get to rapid transit? This parcel is actually under 300 meters from a future bus rapid transit location. So while the transit right now, it's funny, I actually looked on Google Maps this morning at the sort of street view location. There's literally a bus stop on the corner. So for all that, we all have our frustrations with OC Transpo, it is right next to transit, and it is right next to soon-to-be rapid transit.
Mm-hmm.
So, not everybody owns a car. I actually didn't own a car until I was 35. So I'm very much in the boat of you can live a happy life without parking.
Well, and it's so interesting because I know your colleague Dean Tester from Make Housing Affordable was talking about the closeness to Carleton University, for instance. You could walk to Carleton from there.
Bike to Carleton in high school. I took a class at Carleton in my last year of high school, and I rode my bike from near Dow's Lake. It's actually not a bad area to bike in. One of the challenges is baseline is there's a term in urban planning called a strode, which is it's not a street, it's not a road, it's this sort of horrible in between that's too busy. And so we got to think about the safety issues of that street, and it's actually something that I see raised a lot around new developments where people are I don't want this new development to be there because there's safety issues. But those safety issues are not actually inherent to the development process. They're already there. And I really wish that people would reach out to their counselors about the safety issues themselves, separate from bringing it up in the context of trying to block housing.
Mm-hmm. Who's the developer on this particular project, Lee?
I'm not actually sure. I haven't done a ton of digging around the developer. It's a pretty... Sorry, go ahead.
The reason I was mentioning it is because we put a lot of pressure on developers to be creative. If they're building housing that particularly doesn't have a component of affordable housing, we're putting pressure on them to also include affordable housing there. So my point being is that if this particular development was from a developer that's building all over the city, and they found this parcel to do this project on, and then it's getting ex-nade from the community, it's not a big incentive to a lot of those developers that can build anywhere in the city, anywhere in the city on bigger parcels of land.
Yeah, I think the question of, how much affordable housing do you incorporate in a project? How do you distribute it across the city? Is a really important one to talk through. But I think it's actually pretty separate from the sort of overall question of we need more supply of all types of housing. But in particular, that sort of missing middle that is quite a bit less expensive to construct in the first place. Which means that you can up the level of supply. I don't know. I remember flying out of Montreal a couple of months ago when there were still not really any international flights out of Ottawa, and just looking out the airplane window and being man, this whole city is 3 to 4 story apartment buildings everywhere. And we have so few of those across Ottawa that it really sort of speaks to the affordability crisis that we're trying to we have to fight tooth and nail to get one little building approved when we really need to be densifying the whole city so that we can accommodate the 400,000 people that are going to move to this town in the next 10 years.
Mm-hmm. Is it frustrating? We saw this happen in Orleans recently as well. That development is moving ahead with some consultation by the community. I fully believe in the opportunity to consult and to have the say from the community. But at the same time, we have to make way and make consensus for everybody to live here. To your point, the numbers that Mayor Mark Sutcliffe has agreed to do in the next 10 years, that's a huge number, over 100,000 units in this city. That's a huge number to be able to get to, doing it 18 at a time.
I think we should be building 150,000, but that's a whole other story.
Right.
One of the real challenges with this is, people have an understandable desire to see their community. I mean, it's not how I want to live, but I empathize that people are nervous about their community changing, and they want to be consulted on what those changes look like. One of the challenges is that the people who don't yet live those 18 families that will someday live in that building, like, we don't know who they are. They can't show up to a council meeting to say, like, hey, I need a place to live. So that's, the fundamental premise of why Make Housing Affordable does the work that we do, is to be able to be that advocate and that voice for the people who, like, don't necessarily live here yet, and counter that sort of, it's only the people who've already got that house that are able to say, like, oh, I don't want anybody else living here, right? To be able to say, like, hey, we actually, if we want to live up to our values, if we want to be hospitable to newcomers, whether those are newcomers who are economic immigrants, refugees, or just people who weren't born in Canada. Like, my family's been in this city since the early 1800s, but I also want there to be more people living here.
I always think back, I used to work for Mayor Mary Pitt. I was her assistant and worked, at the city of Nepean at the time for many, many years. And I always remember back to a planning meeting where a gentleman was very, very upset that a new development was going to be built in his community. And, and once again, always wanting to hear from the community. But the director of planning at the time, because the gentleman was mad that there was going to be, a number of trees cut down. And I get that. I'm all for beautiful landscape and that as well. But the gentleman was reminded by the director of planning that a number of trees were cut down for his house too. and I think that is a bit of a wake-up call that sometimes people need. Right. I mean, I think about the community that I'm living in right now, which is in Richmond. And David Brown, the councillor for Richmond, said, Sam, I used to pick strawberries on your, probably on your property, many, many years ago. So as the city evolves, we all have to be reminded that, and honestly, that it's unceded Anishinaabe territory, first of all.
Absolutely.
And then on top of that, that people have memories and experiences about parcels of land that may become housing someday for more families to make memories in this city. And so I just think that perspective always stayed with me, that, we have to remember that where you were living too, probably came with some sacrifices.
Yeah, absolutely. I think acknowledging that we're all guests here fundamentally is pretty important.
How do you want people to get involved, Lee? I know you've got this group, Make Housing Affordable, and I know I've spoke with a number of different people in part of your group. But are you looking for people to be part of this organization and help spread this message as well?
Yeah, so we're always looking for folks to participate in the planning process. We have a Discord, which is like a type of chat server that we do a lot of our organizing through. We are currently on Twitter, hopefully soon on Mastodon, and we also have a mailing list where folks can stay up to date with opportunities for activism. Our primary mode of getting stuff done is running petitions around specific housing developments. We're talking to community groups, to other community groups, and having conversations around those objections, and then talking to city council and participating in the planning process from a pro-housing, pro-density, anti-climate, fighting climate change through density kind of perspective.
Really appreciate your time, Lee. Thank you. And I'll be following this development closely here on City News.
Really appreciate your time. And I hope the development goes through so we can build some more housing.
Look forward to it. Thank you. Lee Honeywell joining us, volunteer board member for Make Housing Affordable, talking about that development that's planned for 222 Baseline Road. So right near Fisher, really right across from the experimental farm, a beautiful area there. When we come back, we're going to talk about the father-daughter ball. And of course, it's being promoted by the one and only Kiss FM, our sister station here at Rogers Radio. Stay with us here on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Play 4 games of bingo from the comfort of your own home each Monday at 7 p.m. for your chance to win money from our $2,000 regular bingo or $5,000 super bingo night. Kiwanis TV Bingo, Mondays at 7 p.m. on Rogers TV.
Bum, 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 bum. $20. $20. We're on the line for $20.
On Thursday's Daytime Ottawa, we'll meet Aero Meso Cafe and Bakery. They're going to be on the show showcasing some of their flavor-filled croissants and something called a cookie cake. Oh my goodness, it is going to be absolutely delicious on the show. We'll also tell you about a great non-profit arts and crafts school, and we'll give you all the details on the latest production from Tactics. All that and more on Thursday's Daytime Ottawa.
After a night out with your friends, there's always options for getting home safely. You could call your BFF, your mom or dad, whoever you can count on for a safe ride home. You could call your favorite cab company or 1-888 taxi guy. Or you could use the Arrive Alive smartphone app to help you choose your ride. Be it a friend, transit, or taxi, getting home safely is app easy. Now available for iOS and Android devices. Visit arrivealive.org to find out more. Arrive Alive. Drive sober.
I'm Julian Armour from Music and Beyond. Join us for a new show this spring on Rogers called Music and Beyond Presents.
Here comes the 67. They score! How's that for your first of the season?
Another highlight reel goal.
Perfect placement there on the one-time. What a play!
He is making a statement, isn't he?
Oh, it's a beauty of a shot from the freshman.
The OHL playoffs.
What a goal!
On Rogers TV.
Here comes the 67. They score! How's that for your first of the season?
Another highlight reel goal.
Perfect placement there on the one-time. What a play!
67's action on Rogers TV.
Hi, my name is Arkantel and I'm part of Encore Ottawa. My set will be coming out this week, so I hope you can watch it and enjoy it. Thank you.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
I love this event. It's such a wonderful opportunity for great memories between fathers and daughters. Of course, the father-daughter ball, and the brainchild behind it is Carlo Lombard. He joins me now, principal of Enough Said Media. Hi, Carlo.
Hello, Sam. How are you?
Well, I'm so excited about this event. It's such a wonderful opportunity, like I said, to create some memories. Walk us through when the big day is.
Well, the big day is Saturday, April 15th, taking place at the Infinity Convention Center, and happening from starting at 5 p.m. Doors open up, and we finish the event at 9 p.m. So it's a short evening, but it's full of exciting, energetic surprises, just a really special evening to spend with those special ladies in your life as a dad.
And I love the fact right across the hall, of course, from our studio here at City News is KISS 105.3, our great friends Chris Love and Sandra Pagakis, who do a great job at KISS. They're behind this big event, which makes it even sweeter, Carlo.
Yes, I mean, we are super excited in having them there. They're just a ball of energy and really add to the evening. So we're just so excited to have them a part of it again. And they've been hosting it for quite some time. And, just adding once again, just that enthusiasm that we know that is associated with KISS and, the team even at City News and, just being a part of that evening, it makes it so special.
Absolutely. And the father-daughter ball, I remember seeing some amazing photos. A good friend of mine and colleague here, Calum, of course, takes his daughter, and some of those pictures are just absolutely amazing and will be treasured forever. So this is for children from the ages of 6 to 12. And so it's just wonderful. It's such a unique event, Carlo.
Yes, I mean, honestly, if I could give you a little bit of history behind this and, why we're so, why I'm engaged in the first place is, years ago when kids first started the actual event, I believe it might be even 2012, 2013. I was fortunate enough to be the DJ and the MC of the inaugural event, and it was such a wonderful evening to be engaged and see all these gentlemen and their ladies, just dance the night away, and some of the pictures it really just scratches the surface of how memorable this evening really is. And as the years have progressed, I was fortunate to MC and DJ it a few more times. And then my career kind of changed a little bit. I took my expertise in different directions, and that evolved. But I actually ended up having, 2 little girls join my family, right? Oh. And so I was just so excited to bring them to this event. And, just before the pandemic, I know things changed a little bit, and we kind of halted things when it came to the event. And I was like, oh no, the event's not happening anymore. We have to get this back. And, had some conversations with the team last year and was saying, okay, how can we bring this back? And I was so excited because I was like, this is such a memorable evening, and to be able to be there with my 2 little girls and just, spend that time with them, because, we're so busy. We're rushing all the time, running all the time in this day and age. And, we don't take a second sometimes just to be present and be aware and be thankful and be grateful. And this event is really what that just kind of comes, it culminates all together. And the wonderful thing is we raise funds too, right? And we have purposely engaged with the Prostate Cancer Fight Foundation for a reason, right? Because, there's so many gentlemen, of course, that is affected by this. And, what better way to engage that into the evening with bringing all these gentlemen together and, making sure that we encourage and also facilitate more gentlemen being around there for their little ladies.
Well, if this event wasn't special enough, the fact you're raising money for Prostate Cancer Fight Foundation, and Carlo, you don't know, but I lost my father to prostate cancer in 2016, so that makes this event even more special, and I'm hoping you have a packed crowd. Are there still tickets available, Carlo?
You know what, Sam, I'm glad you asked. We are actually close to 80% sold out, so there's still some tickets left. Obviously we want it to be a packed room because that's part of the energy. So the funny thing is that, we are already, it's quite a big crowd already. I'm going to try not to give that away. I'm biting my tongue. I really want to, but let's just put it this way. It is, the energy in the room is pretty spectacular, and also because we have a very big room this time around. In fact, the biggest room that this event has ever had. So, of course, we'd like to make sure that the room is full, but also we want to make sure that we have the ability to make this evening as spectacular as possible and, of course, raise funds. So, yes, there is some tickets still left. We would love to have more gentlemen and ladies join us and, make this something that is unlike anything the city has to offer.
Lovely. And I know that the ticket comes with obviously a beverage and a beautiful meal, entertainment. There's just so much there. I hear you're the guy in town, Carlo, to pull off amazing events. That's what I've heard.
I don't know, Sam. That's a big. I guess a lot to live up to. But I think really what it comes down to is just we're very our company is very purpose driven. We're focused mostly on creating very short form purpose driven video content. We're a content creation company specifically. And what's interesting about that is that part of content creation is also the event industry. And because unfortunately, I have a very strong event background as well, apart from marketing. And, I was fortunate. I was a cruise director on cruise ships for 8 years of my life. So I spent an enormous amount of time with working with people like Richard Simmons and Katie Couric and Kathy Lee Gifford and all these people. So I have a passion for events, and I've been fortunate to MC a lot of events in the city. So our company is very focused on very purpose-driven events, very few productions, and this is why this was really just aligned with us. We just, and once again, we love to do good things with good people, and that's why you and I are having this conversation, because we just love good people like you and, the team, and we want to help more people do good things.
Well, I think this is a perfect opportunity, and too, there's been so many events missed by this age group. 6 to 12, so many birthday parties and anniversaries and Christmases and Easters during the pandemic that were missed. This would be lovely to be an event where, a father and a daughter, or maybe a couple of daughters, are able to go out and spend this time together and have those pictures that maybe aren't there in the family album.
Absolutely. And I think this is what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to capture, which is also trying to make that experience. We're in this world where we try and capture every second we have on our phones, and then we sometimes kind of forget just to kind of be there and enjoy it, right? And on the night of, we have all kinds of kind of cool ways to capture the evening. We use video and pictures and all kinds of other cool things. So we're going to make sure that there's lots of opportunities to capture that. But we also wanted to make that space, right, for the dads to really just be there with the little ladies. And, we have lots of activities planned for them, lots of dancing, because that's a big part of the event. It is you're really getting that opportunity where a father can, dance on a slow dance with his daughter, right? We don't get to do that often. We maybe get to do it in the kitchen if we can, in between meals, but that's as far as that sometimes goes. So we really want to kind of dedicate the evening to that. And then we spend quite a bit of time also to make this an engaging experience for the gentlemen as well, where, they can get to meet some amazing guys as well, because everybody in that room, they're there for a reason, and they're there because they believe in what this event does, and they also believe in what it stands for and what it's trying to create. So making some space for the gentlemen to connect with one another as well is another key aspect of this year's kind of just format of the event.
Well, I know mums feel this way, that sometimes as a parent, the days are long, but the years are short. And, you look up and you see them as a toddler, and you look up and they're in the high school play, and then you look up and they're off for their first date. It all goes by. Oh, I'm getting emotional, Carlo. It all goes by so fast. So capturing this moment, and I'm hoping we've inspired someone today to spend time with you. And maybe somebody will come and ask you what it's like to be on a cruise ship with Richard Simmons. How cool is that?
Let's just say that is memorable, right?
Absolutely.
But no, I thank you very much, Sam, for giving us the opportunity to talk a little bit about it. And as I said, we just feel super passionate about it, and just excited to kind of bring it back and work with the team and have some fun, really, right? Like in this day and age where we're so busy, as I said, once again, trying to do everything for everybody else, just stop for a second and just spend that with the people close to us.
Beautifully said. Carlo Lombard, I can see why you're so good at what you do. Principal at Enough Said Media, that father-daughter ball happening. And of course, our friends at Kiss FM doing a wonderful job at promoting that event. And I know they'll be there in full force as well. Thank you, Carlo.
Appreciate that. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you. When we come back, it's lunchtime already. Where has the morning gone? Heavens to Betsy. We're getting ready to talk about the federal budget. We're going to talk with Noor Qadri and Walter Robinson. We're going to have a great conversation there regarding if Canadians have benefited from this budget, or is it a hindrance for them? We're going to have a conversation with them. And then we're getting ready for a very busy OBJ business lunch. We're going to talk a little ice cream. We're going to talk with Su-Ling Ching, CEO of the Ottawa Board of Trade. And we're also going to get a chance to meet two very special people in our community. Lock it in to City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Every year, dozens of Canadians are killed or seriously injured because they take risks around railway tracks. Talk to your loved ones about rail safety. Visit stoptracktragedies.ca.
Here comes the 67. He scores! How's that for your first of the season?
Another highlight reel goal.
Perfect placement there on the one-time. What a play!
67's action on Rogers TV.
The regulars, the guys who keep this place in business. Last week, they had something to celebrate. Jason had just finished university. So they toasted his profs, his TAs, his old roommates. Well, they toasted just about everyone. But I worry about and take care of my guys. So even when I know they're not driving, sometimes that means bringing them a little surprise. And then they had a drink to me.
Brought to you by Smart Serve Ontario and Arrive Alive, Drive Sober.
Do you have something to share? Let everyone know about your next meeting, your need for volunteers, or your fundraising event on the Rogers TV Community Billboard. Send us your words and we'll bring them to life on Rogers TV and rogerstv.com. When it's time to spread the word, go to rogerstv.com to add your announcement to the community billboard.
It's a new season of The New Fly Fisher on Rogers TV.
On the next Fit Over 50, join us for some floor exercises. We'll be working the core, we'll be exercising your full body and stretching. We'll see you then.
This is City News.
CIWW 1310 AM in Ottawa.
And CJET 1011 FM in Smiths Falls and the Valley. Number 1 for local news, traffic, and weather for Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News 1011 everywhere.
It is Wednesday, March 29th. Good afternoon. I am Damilola Onime. Right now in Ottawa, mostly cloudy, 3 degrees. In Smiths Falls, it is 5. And here's what's making news in Ottawa and the Valley. The federal New Democrats are taking a victory lap. NDP leader Jagmeet Singh congratulating his MPs at a morning caucus meeting for pushing the Liberals to adopt several measures in the budget.
Yesterday's budget shows that when New Democrats have power, we get things done for people. That's what it's shown, that we use our power to make people's lives better.
And the budget includes another top-up of the GST rebate for low-income Canadians and money to expand the NDP's push for a national dental care program. Meanwhile, the opposition leader says Canada has got to open up the permits for things like building and mining. Pierre Poilievre says Canada is well behind other countries when it comes to granting things like mining permits. The Conservative leader tells Wake Up with Rob Snow rare earth metals may be one booming business and Canada has a large supply, but it's not being mined.
We have the 6th biggest supply of lithium, which is the ingredient in electric car batteries. We didn't harvest a tablespoon of the stuff in 2021 because it takes as long as 25 years to get a permit to build a mine.
And Poilievre says under a Conservative government, the permits would be granted faster, so more mine factories and warehouses could be built. With the weather forecast for Ottawa and the Valley, here is City News weather specialist Denise Andriachi.
A bit unsettled at times for this afternoon and evening. We have scattered showers, but also some mixing potential. Amounts look to be on the low end, but the big weather story today is the winds as well as these temperature swings. So we have highs near 7 degrees today, but we fall to minus 10 late tonight. And it's quite cold and sunny for Thursday. Highs only near +1. Mixing is expected again for Friday, below seasonal, about 10 to 15 millimeters of rain. For this afternoon, the guaranteed high 7.
City News time is 12:02. There was an outburst in the public galleries at Queen's Park today. City News reporter Richard Southern with what led to the demonstration.
Protesters stood up during question period in the public galleries at the legislature and started heckling the premier.
To refrain from this outburst, or you'll be asked to leave.
The protesters were from Indigenous communities, and they were demonstrating against the Ford government's plans to develop the so-called Ring of Fire. This is a mineral-rich area in Northern Ontario. MPP Saul Mamakwa asked the government about it today.
Will this government commit today to obtain the consent of First Nations before making any plans for their homelands?
Answering Minister Greg Rickford.
From the outset, our government has been focused on consensus and relationship building, Mr. Speaker, when it comes to resource projects.
That type of response means that they do not care about First Nation rights.
The recent budget included $1 billion to develop the Ring of Fire. Richard Southern, City News.
City News time is 12:03. A lawyer representing some of the families of the 22 people killed in a mass shooting in Nova Scotia 3 years ago hope an inquiry's final report doesn't shy away from saying the things that need to be said. The commission will release the report tomorrow. About 3 months after the rampage, a procession of grieving relatives marched to the local RCMP detachment, demanding an independent and open inquiry. The final report is expected to examine the police's response to the shooting, as well as what role gender-based violence played in the murders. And the city of Amsterdam has an interesting message for young male British tourists.
Online ads targeting British men between the ages of 18 to 35, urging them to behave in Amsterdam or stay home, warning that a long weekend in the city may create the wrong kind of memories and that the escapism tourists crave could result in arrest and jail time. The initiative forms part of efforts to clean up Amsterdam's raunchy reputation as Europe's most liberal party capital. Critics argue the targeted ad campaigns are discriminatory and based on unfair stereotypes. Inez Deliquitera, ABC News, at the Foreign Desk.
I am Damilola Unime. For news anytime, follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
Connecting you and your community. This is the Sam Laprade Show on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Well, it's lunchtime. What are you having for lunch today? We're going to be feasting on some big topics today. And we invited to the table Noor Qadri, Professor, University of Ottawa, as well, a mayoral candidate in the 2022 election. Walter Robinson is also joining us, former City of Ottawa executive and political commentator. Hello, gentlemen.
Good afternoon, Sam and Walter and your listeners.
Hello, Noor and Sam. Happy to join you for lunch. I didn't get my sandwich, but I'll wait for that.
You'll wait for that. You can get it. You can actually, which is great, Walter. You can eat it while you're listening to the OBJ Business Lunch. So there you go.
I'll do that.
There you go. Lots to talk about today, gentlemen. Of course, that budget brought down by Justin Trudeau's Liberals yesterday. Chrystia Freeland went out and got a new pair of shoes. She was getting some heels that were on sale, comfortable and practical. Do you think, Noor, that the shoes matched the budget?
Well, the shoes were on sale. The budget was not. There's a lot of extra spending, about $67 billion of spending over the next 5 years. This is something that wasn't in the plans. But there's no wonder that after the very strong showing of Pierre Poilievre in the House against Justin Trudeau over the last year, that, or at least since he became leader of the Conservatives, that Jagmeet Singh is getting it his way, because he's trying to push a lot of his agenda, and his 25 MPs in Parliament are much stronger than the 102 or 103 MPs that Jack Layton had in the House.
Let me ask you, Walter, did the shoes match the budget?
I think the government needs a new pair of shoes and a new fashion consultant, if I can go there. This government is running out of ideas. I won't pick up or add to the analysis of the extra spending specifically. I can tell you that what you can see as well, for example, is the ballooning dental care costs were projected at $6 billion last year, up to $13 billion over 5 years now. That's the canary in the coal mine for people who still want to see national pharmacare, which is a program in search of a solution that can be solved other ways. I think the other thing we need to look at as well, and I have a lot of sympathy, Sam, for Minister DPM and Finance Minister Freeland. There's so much outside the control of this government in this economic time. It's the most perilous economic time in the 8 years of a Trudeau government, I think, and the most perilous since 2008 in terms of the financial markets collapse or the banking collapses back then. And I went back to the sensitivity tables. I read the budget backwards. I go look at the sensitivity tables. I look at the Ways and Means motion. And yesterday was my 25th budget. Wow. Not all of them in lockup, but I was in lockup yesterday, a budget analysis. This was a very thin budget. So the fact that they could spend an extra $67 billion on recurring ideas and not really new ideas is something. And if we can get into it, I think this is a direct political budget in response to some partisan shots and partisan wins that both the NDP and Pierre Poilievre's Conservatives are scoring against this government.
Mm-hmm. Interesting there. And I do want to talk about the dental plan. We know Chrystia Freeland had this to say.
I remember as a kid growing up, you could tell whose parents didn't have a lot of money by the state of their smile. And I think that's a horrible thing. And so actually, I think it's really right and appropriate for dental care to, like all the other healthcare Canadians get, to be something that you get when you need it, not based on the size of your bank account.
Thoughts, Noor, on Minister Freeland's summary there of the dental care plan?
Dwell a little bit on this. This is not a Liberal plan, and the Liberals in this budget are trying to take credit for this. The Liberals, when they are in majority government, we have seen them for 4 years. They never proposed something like that. They opposed aspects of pharmacare and dental care and all these things. But the fact that they are in a minority government, they were forced to do these types of things. So they're talking about it as it's stronger public health care and pushing for the dental care program and other aspects like adding student grants by 40% and having like doubling the GST rebate or rebranding it. They're trying to take credit for something that this is the achievement of the NDP. It's not the government. I have to differ a little bit on Walter on some stuff that we need to give the government some credit on, which is mainly some investments. It's not only recurring spending. I like the idea that they're putting more money in green manufacturing and tech. This is gonna create more like high-paying jobs. When we see big organizations like Volkswagen having their big battery plants to go in Ontario. This tells a lot on the innovation agenda here, and this is what Pierre Poilievre is trying to push for. Like we want to get lithium for batteries. Well, guess what? We're getting the manufacturing plants in Canada. If we push on the resources side a little bit here, we can move in the right direction. That is good for Canadians, for high-paying jobs, exploiting some of our resources, being good to the environment, and leading in innovation. And we could do all of them together.
And so can I pick up on that, Sam? And I'm glad we can have a debate on this to a degree. One, on dental care. I support dental care and oral care. It's important in healthcare. As a kid living in a low-income housing project in Toronto, my trip to the dentist was the University of Toronto Dental School once a year. And I remember at the time we needed to get braces for my lower teeth. $2,000. We could not afford it. I did not get braces for my lower teeth. So the policy intent of where the government wants to go, I think it's important. And I agree with what Minister Freeland said yesterday. To paraphrase her, you're basically standing up a new anchor, a new program within the context of healthcare in Canada. So they got the numbers wrong wildly. I think they knew they were underestimated from the get-go. So I support that. But it's still a canary in the coal mine for what could happen with pharmacare if we were to ever take that program burden off the private sector and put it back on the public purse. And the government doesn't do that well. I'll disagree with Noor in the context of innovation. There is the $15 kind of strategic growth fund. A lot of this other work that they're trying to do in clean energy and this to drive and try and foster and nudge this transition is tax credits. And the great thing about tax credits are they sound amazing in the budget, up to $2 billion in tax credits or $50 million for that or $150 million there. But then you come back each fall and you look at the report called the Summary of Tax Expenditures that Finance Canada puts out, usually in the fall, sometimes in the spring. It shows that most of these tax credit schemes, from left to right, from transit to fitness to innovation, are always undersubscribed. They never meet the full public policy purpose that they go. And the other challenge we have here is that in terms of green, all the critical minerals for batteries, to actually get these things out of the ground will be mired in environmental assessments for years. And we saw the electricity people yesterday, and then even the people on the left-hand side of the public policy spectrum basically saying, they're trying to drive this change. We do not have the capacity to meet these net zero targets now without doing one thing, nuclear. And they talked about solar and wind and other things to build the transmission capacity and the capacity of the grid to carry the stuff to these EV charging stations. There is a lot of work to do here. And unless we get really serious about the whole transmission grid capacity and what various sources of energy we're going to need, including clean fossil fuel energy, it's not going to happen. It's simply not going to happen. And the person who says this is probably the foremost expert on growth and energy in the word, Professor Václav Smil, Professor Emeritus at the University of Winnipeg, has written 8 just fantastic books on this, understands energy consumption like nobody else on the planet. Unless we do this is all window dressing. We're not going to get to net zero. It's just not going to happen.
Net zero is a target that all governments in Canada, conservatives and liberals, and all governments around the world, they're talking about it until 2050. One thing that we have to always realize that the government cannot do everything. We're not China. We're not China. We cannot force things down the throat of people, and that's where the private sector has to come in and subscribe to all these. This under-subscription is, I shouldn't put the onus always on the government on these things, just to be fair a little bit on this.
Well, if there's one thing I like, gentlemen, it's a spicy lunch. So we're going to come back with Walter Robinson and Noor Qadri on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Hi, I'm Justice. And I'm Nia. And we believe dreams fuel revolutions. That's why we're engaging with Canadian icons and the causes they support. Join us for these inspiring conversations and find out how you can be revolutionary.
October 5th, 2014, my daughter was hit by a train. She was walking along the sides of the tracks, and it shattered her world.
Fires raged along the Saguenay River for more than 150 kilometers, destroying land and lives. One family survived by dousing themselves all night against the searing heat. One family, among the thousands whose resourcefulness and courage shaped the character of this land.
Here comes the 67. They score! How's that for your first of the season? Placement there on the one-time. What a play! Steps scores!
He is making a statement, isn't he?
Oh, that's a beauty of a shot from the freshman.
The OHL playoffs.
What a goal!
On Rogers TV.
Little brown girl, little brown girl.
Hey, I'm Picasso Win Von Teef. I'm so happy to be involved with Encore Ottawa Season 3. I can't wait for you guys to see what I have in store for you.
Hi, I'm Justice. And I'm Nia. And we believe dreams fuel revolutions. That's why we're engaging with Canadian icons and the causes they support. Join us for these inspiring conversations and find out how you can be revolutionary.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Okay, we're having a bit of a spicy lunch here today on City News. I'm Sam Laprade, and we've invited to the table Walter Robinson, former City of Ottawa executive and political commentator, and Noor Qadri's pulling up a chair as well, professor, University of Ottawa, and mayoral candidate in 2022. And Noor, you were saying a little bit earlier in regards to the federal budget that certainly the Liberals seem to be sort of raising the dental flag and saying that, you know, this was a lot of their doing. spending. Here's what Jagmeet Singh had to say about dental care.
We're proud that we've been able to force this government to deliver things. And let me be very clear, there would not have been dental care in this budget but for New Democrats. There would not have been an expansion or a continuing of doubling the GST tax credit, which is the grocery rebate, but for the fact that we forced this government to deliver that. There wouldn't have been connections. There wouldn't have been clear ties between good jobs and investments in companies that are fighting the climate crisis, but for New Democrats. So we forced the government to do this. There's a number of things that are still need to be done by the end of this year. We still need to see anti-scab legislation. We still need to see pharmacare legislation, and we're going to make sure this government delivers those things as well by the end of the year.
Everyone's chasing themselves, Noor, trying to talk about who's spending the most money in this country. What are your thoughts on what Mr. Singh had to say?
It's not about spending. It's about if there is something that needs to be done, and dental care is an important thing. The Liberals cannot take credit for that. I think Jagmeet Singh was right about it. What the NDP usually lack in doing is trying to advertise this very well. I saw fundraising messaging coming out from the Liberals, and going out there and saying they want to make stronger public health care, and they're talking about dental care as something that is out there. And we just heard Chrystia Freeland talking about dental care as an important thing, and it's their making. It's not their making. It's the NDP who have pushed for it. And if anybody who supports this program, they should be just talking about having a minority government in this country. Whenever we had a minority government, and whether it is a liberal or a conservative, the people got better. When we get a majority government, and again, whether it doesn't matter the color of the government governs like a dictatorship, and they will push their agenda to the end, and spending would go. I wanted to dwell on something that is important that Walter raised up. Is they started at $6 billion. It's going to go to $13 billion. This is the state of every project with the government. We always look at, for instance, the government bought the pipeline. They paid $5 billion. Everybody was just saying, okay, well, you're bailing a company, $5 billion. The prices for that is $27 billion now.
Well, anybody that's ever gone to the dentist, Noor, knew that $6 billion was not going to be the price tag. It was going to be more than that, for sure. I wanted to mention as well, Pierre Poilievre joined my colleague Rob Snow a little bit earlier today on City News. Hear what Pierre Poilievre had to say about the budget.
They're not relief measures. They're cost of living inflation measures. It's as though they showed up in a fire truck to a burning house, but instead of spraying water, they sprayed gasoline. We know why we have an inflation crisis. The government is driving up inflation by printing and spending more cash than it has. The cost of government is driving up the cost of living. $500 billion of inflationary deficits are bidding up the goods we buy and the interest we pay. It's not just Pierre Poilievre saying this anymore. You're right. I've been saying it since 2020. It's Bill Morneau.
Let's ask you, Walter. Are the finances on fire?
The finances are not on fire, but this government has given up any pretense of returning to balance anytime over the near or midterm. Now it's just all about debt to GDP. And we have two generations of voters who really don't know what balanced budgets truly are, and that's not a function of people not understanding. It's the fact that we've lived with debt and credit in so many things of our life: mortgages, home equity line of credit, long-term student loan debt, and then young families going into debt and other things to help aging parents. So it's a different dynamic. I will agree one thing with what Noor said. This is absolutely the NDP's doing on the dental care front, and in many social program areas, it is true in terms of the expansion of the welfare state, and I don't use that as a pejorative term. We've had that with minority governments. I would be very careful in language to say, and I know that's not what's meant, but when we say majority governments act like dictatorships. No, they don't act like dictatorships. They act like majority governments. There's a big, big difference. It's like when we talk about fascism or dictatorships, we need to really be careful when we use that language for what it really means. For people who've come to this country who lived under dictatorships, they would tell you that's not the case. I did want to say, though, where we were, and this gets to Noor's point, that the NDP and as I said at the top of the show, both the NDP and the Tories have been really nipping at the affordability issue. And I've said this before on your show, Sam. I don't think Deputy Prime Minister could not, I just don't see any empathy. I don't think you could buy her empathy in the context of how she delivers those remarks with respect to affordability and the cost of living. Her and Justin Trudeau have never lived it. And if you haven't lived it, it's really tough. But if you look at the crackdown on junk fees, the grocery rebate for Canadians, a crackdown on predatory lending, supporting your right to repair, common chargers, a standard USB-C common charger for charging our phones and our tablets and stuff like that. Automatic tax filing. These are all centered. This is definitely a boutique area to get to accessible voters and people who are, to be fair, really, really hurting in these times. If you have, and this so-called shallow recession that is forecast for the next year, if you're hurting now, this is really tough for you. If you have a job and you're comfortable, this kind of shallow recession is not going to touch you. So that's very unique in terms of the have-nots, and I think Pierre Polyev calls the have-nots and those with yachts, and then some of the billionaire tax credit and stuff like that. The challenge is that, and a lot of these things, and then the other stuff on passports, on immigration, on more money for the 1-800 line. The issue here is, and Susan Delacourt had a great column in the Star today about this. This is the Liberals' response back to the Canada is broken narrative from Pierre Polyev and the Conservatives. The challenge is, and I've said this before, and it may rub people the wrong way in this city, the government of Canada has lost its ability and capacity to deliver services to Canadians other than paychecks and EFT transfers for the most part. That's the real issue, that we have a 250,000 person bureaucracy of policy people. We don't have a lot of people with delivery capacity or deliveryology. And a former Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister has said this in a conversation I've had. That's the real challenge for the government of Canada, regardless of who it is going forward, on airports, on customs, on passports, the things that you actually rely on your government to do, and the little dollars that they've dolloped in this budget, I think they're just kicking some of these problems down the road for a future Liberal or future Conservative government. We're going to see more of those headlines and stories in the years to come, and that's unfortunate that we're not really tackling those things.
Boy, lots to talk about. I think we could spend another couple of hours together chatting about this federal budget. Certainly appreciate
Sam,
your time today.
It's been a tasty lunch.
It has been.
I've enjoyed dining
Tasty.
with Noor. Let's do it again.
It's not over, though. It's not over, because I want to talk a little pickleball. I always like ending on a little bit of a sweet note here. We'll end on a pickle note today. Noor Qadri, do you play pickleball?
I never did that. I've never heard of pickleball until today.
Okay. Well, pickleball, sort of like standing on a ping pong table. That's kind of how it's been described to me. Walter Robinson, are you playing pickleball, my friend?
I've tried to sign up twice for the city of Ottawa, and it oversells. It's even more popular than swimming lessons for the kids. It's really a pain. But we are on a cruise. We are on a cruise in a couple weeks, Sam, and they do have pickleball. I call it tennis for older people, but just make sure you stretch.
There you go, for sure. Well, the reason we're talking about pickleball is because the people in Manotick won't have pickleball anymore. It's been removed from services there. Too loud with the tong, tong, tong. But gentlemen, let's get together next time. I'll referee a pickleball game between you two. How does that sound?
I'm in.
Okay, perfect. Everyone's a little bit nervous about that, but it'll be fun. Noor Qadri, Professor, University of Ottawa, and of course, mayoral candidate. Walter Robinson, former City of Ottawa executive and political commentator. Gentlemen, let's do this again soon.
Thanks, Noor. Thanks, Sam.
Appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thanks, Walter.
We're getting ready for the OBJ Business Lunch. We're going to talk about all things business. Let's talk about the business of ice cream. And then we're going to speak with Su-Ling Ching, CEO of the Ottawa Board of Trade. She always has some great information for us. She has been certainly very busy. She's been obviously following the federal budget very closely. And we're going to talk to her about the visit with President Joe Biden as well. And then we're going to meet two incredible people in our community. You will not want to miss it. One of them is from a completely different galaxy. Stay with us here on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
On the next episode of Simply Cooking by Chef, tacos aren't only for Tuesday. I make a Mexican taco feast for a crowd.
When an impaired driver killed my brother DJ, my life changed forever. During the pandemic, all of our lives changed, and many of us turned to alcohol and drugs to cope. As life returns to normal, the increase in substance use from COVID has lingered, and some police services report an increase in impaired driving that caused heartbreak and devastation. Now, more than ever, we need your commitment to never drive impaired and to encourage all of your family and friends to do the same. Together, we can save lives.
Once upon a time, in a nursery rhyme, there were 3 bears. 1, 2, 3 bears. And they went a-walking in the cool woods a-talking while their porridge began.
Rogers TV invites you to let your imagination roam as we present Ottawa Storytellers. Each week we'll present a collection of original creative stories and inspirations for children of all ages. Join us for Ottawa Storytellers on Rogers TV.
Play 4 games of bingo from the comfort of your own home each Monday at 7 p.m. for your chance to win money from our $2,000 regular bingo or $5,000 super bingo night. Kiwanis TV Bingo, Mondays at 7 p.m. on Rogers TV.
Number 1 for local news, traffic, and weather for Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News 1011 everywhere.
It is Wednesday, March 29th. Good afternoon. I am Damilola Unime. Right now in Ottawa, it is 5 degrees. In Smiths Falls, it is 7. And here's what's making news this hour. The group Acorn has protests scheduled for several parts of the province today. Members are taking to the streets to protest the Ford government's housing policies. They say the provincial government is pro-development, pointing to several pieces of legislation, like removing rent controls in 2018 and the more recent removal of development fees cities can charge developers. In Ottawa, the group is gathered at the Minto Park on Lewis Street. There are at least 4 other locations across Ontario. Ottawa police still asking for your help locating a missing teenager. 17-year-old Leila Al-Hariri has been missing since March 20th when she was last seen in the area of Georgina Drive in the city's West End. Police now believe she may be in Toronto or in Montreal. A picture of and description of Leila is at our website, ottawa.citynews.ca. If you spot her or have any information, you're asked to contact police. And defending Davis Cup champion Team Canada will face Italy, Sweden and Chile in the group stage of the 2023 Davis Cup men's tennis tournament. Canada is the number 1 country in the Davis Cup rankings. The team has been selected as the top seed of Group A, which will play its matches in Italy from September 12th to 17th. The top 2 teams from each group will qualify for the knockout stages. That's the quarterfinals, the semis and the final in Spain. Canada won its first Davis Cup title when a team led by Montreal's Félix Auger-Aliassime defeated Australia 2-0 in last year's championship tie in Spain. City News time is 12:32. I am Damilola Unime. For News Anytime, follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
The Business Lunch on City News, brought to you by the Ottawa Business Journal.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
Well, it's the Ottawa Business Journal Business Lunch, and Su Ling Ching joins me now, CEO of the Ottawa Board of Trade. Hi, Su Ling.
Hello, Sam.
Lovely to be connected today. I like to talk all things business with you. Let's just talk a little bit about last week. How was the visit with President Joe Biden? That added a little bit of excitement into the air.
I think so, for sure. I think it's nice to see that he made time in his agenda to visit us and to give some confidence to our business community and that relationship, which is so important to our economy, for sure.
Absolutely. And then we had another visitor, of course, Gary Bettman, NHL commissioner, made it to town as well to talk about all things Ottawa Senators. How exciting was it to meet with Gary?
Yeah, it was good to say hello. You know, it was a very brief interaction, my own personal interaction. But my understanding is that he had a productive day here in Ottawa. I think he's well respected. You know, his credibility brings a lot of confidence for us in the process that they're undergoing. You know, he talked about, you know, how great Ottawa was, how great the team is, and how committed they are to the team and its success here in Ottawa. And then, of course, chatted about the opportunity for us to have the arena downtown. And as you know, Sam, we are talking about that as a really important part of our future for revitalizing our downtown as well.
Mm-hmm. Exciting times, Suling. I mean, we've got, there's just, I feel like we're almost at a tipping point. I don't know if you feel like that in terms of the new owners of the Ottawa Senators and a new arena, and of course coming out of the pandemic and that revitalization. It feels like we're at a kind of an exciting time. A little bit, you know, we don't know what's happening yet, but it's coming, Suling.
I agree with you, Sam, you know, and there's a lot going on right now. As you know, we're looking forward to a soft recession, I don't know if that's the term, in the next 2 quarters. And so that's something that we have to mitigate. But, you know, the Canadian Chamber just released some data. They do quarterly across the country reports, and they're good enough to report for us in Ottawa. And Ottawa's business community has reported, you know, continuing to be optimistic. And so there are some barriers or challenges facing businesses, and we continue to advocate for every level of government to create a competitive and a predictable business environment for us, because we believe that growth agenda will drive our overall community success. So, but there's a lot of good things going on in Ottawa, and so it's just about everybody working together to leverage those opportunities.
What were you doing yesterday at 4:00? Were you glued to the federal budget like I was?
We were looking at the federal budget, and then I met with my colleagues at the Canadian Chamber across Canada. We met later in the evening, and then this morning we hosted, I think we had 150 Ottawa business and community leaders out at the Westin to listen to Minister Boissonnault and Mr. Fortier about what that budget will mean for Canada. And then we had a business breakdown on the impact, and then we had a panel that also talked about what the future implications are. So I think the next step is to take that information, look at the environment, see where we can continue to press for additional policies that will help our business community. But we will definitely fold some of that information into our upcoming City Building Summit on April the 25th.
Well, you've always got something going on, Suling. I don't know how you manage it all.
Well, I manage it with the support of the leaders in our business community, Sam, and working together is what's going to help us reach the full potential of the city and the quality of life for all of our citizens. And
I think about all these events, like even the event this morning. I mean, that would be very beneficial for a business owner to have been there this morning. Is membership sort of ongoing? Like, could I register today to be a member, for instance?
Yeah. So, I mean, we want all Ottawa businesses to be members of ours, but as an independent, nonpartisan organization, it's really our membership that drives our ability to continue to do this advocacy work and expand it. And I would say, you know, with the opportunities in front of Ottawa, with the challenges that we've been facing these last few years and our ability to move forward better, this would be the time for every Ottawa business to support your local chamber. And we're really well connected at the provincial and federal federal level through those organizations as well. And so we're always welcoming new members to support us and also to get involved. You know, you can volunteer on a committee, have some influence over the policy work that we do, attend these events, be connected to other business leaders. It's beneficial for every business.
I really appreciate your time always. Su-Ling Ching joins us here every couple of weeks to talk about everything that's happening with the Ottawa Board of Trade. She's the president and CEO. Thank you so much, Su-Ling.
Thank you, Sam. Have a great day.
Thank you. And I wanted to talk about the business of ice cream today. So Liz Mock joins me now from Mushu Ice Cream and Kitchen. How are you, Liz?
Good. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Good. I could talk all day about ice cream. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I do talk all day about ice cream.
That's perfect. That's perfect. I should have had that job. So Liz, talk to me a little bit about ice cream right now, the business of ice cream. We were away on a trip to Turks and Caicos. My daughter and I got 2 ice creams, and I couldn't believe the cost of them. They were delicious, but what's it been for ice cream shops like yours in terms of the cost of doing business?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a challenging time in the sense that costs are high and people have less expendable income. And so some of the things that they cut would be luxuries like going out for ice cream. But we're still quite optimistic coming into the summer just because, you know, it's ice cream. It's one of the treats that is kind of a must-have when the weather gets warmer. But ingredients costs have gone really high. And we ourselves are a living wage employer, which means, you know, we raise our wages at according to the Ontario Living Wage Network, which means that we raised our base wages by $1 per hour. So yeah, it's an interesting time, I think, and we're just kind of sitting back and waiting to see how things are going to pan out for us in the summer.
Mm-hmm, for sure. And I know you had some exciting news regarding President Joe Biden's visit. What happened, Liz?
So we were the Prime Minister's office reached out to us to see if we could make a custom ice cream for the presidential visit. We were very shocked, but, you know, of course we obliged. It's such a wonderful opportunity for us to make, an ice cream for somebody so notable. And we heard that his favorite ice cream is chocolate chip, so we made, something that was a chocolate chip, but we wanted to give it a little bit of Mushu pizzazz. So we added toasted marshmallows into our ice cream base. So we cooked it with milk and sugar, churned it into an ice cream with maple sugar, and then we spun it with some chocolate to give it that chocolate chip effect.
Wow. I could listen to you describe that 5 times over. So each of your small batch, right? You're a small batch ice cream shop, right?
Yeah, so we're a bit atypical to most ice cream shops in the sense that we make every single batch of ice cream individually on the pot, on the stovetop. So we like to say that we are very old school when it comes to our method, but very new school when it comes to our flavors.
Oh, I love that. So give us a sense, other than this great ice cream friend chip goals for the president, give us a sense of some other flavors that you offer.
So we're right now on the cusp of changing our flavors. So every month we swap over our menu. One of the more interesting flavors that we have right now in March is a ice cream made with a toasted oak ice cream, and then with a black olive ganache as well. So it's a little bit interesting, but we also have something fun like a guava ice cream with a white chocolate covered Pop Rocks.
Well, that sounds fantastic. And how did it all start for you, Liz? Why ice cream?
It's just something that I found was really, really creative. It was a great creative outlet for myself. Ice cream's really great because, you can come up with an idea and, make an ice cream base, churn it the next day, and you'll have something the next day to be really proud of. And it can be very wacky and it can be very nostalgic, and ice cream is just a blank canvas to do whatever you want with.
And where does the name Mushu come from?
So there's a little bit of a funny story. So I was born in Hong Kong, and I grew up in Richmond, BC, which is also a very Hong Kong Chinese community. So when I moved to Ottawa, it was actually a big culture shock for me because I was not familiar with Canadian Chinese food at all. And when I saw on the menus that Mushu pork was a very popular thing, and the dragon from the Mulan movie is named after Mushu, I just thought it was very interesting that what Canadians recognize as Chinese food is so different from what I recognize as Chinese food. And I thought it was such an interesting story about, immigrants coming to Canada and, taking dishes from their hometowns that may not be, may not be well known across China, but then would be really familiar across Canada. And it's just a really great, I think, immigrant story of, resilience and perseverance and doing what you can with what's available. And I think that really speaks to, what we do is we use a lot of local ingredients. So we try to use what's here and to mesh that with my culture and my background. And so our ice cream flavors are very much, part what we call farm to cone, and then part a lot of, Asian inspired flavors as well. So it's a really weird mix, and I think that's part of my immigrant story. I'm an immigrant myself. And I know a lot of people can criticize, Canadian Chinese food as inauthentic, but I personally think of it as just another regional cuisine.
I'm so glad I asked that question because there was so much in that. I really enjoyed your explanation there. Thank you so much, Liz. Where can we find Mushu?
The Mushu ice cream is on Bank Street, very close to the highway, so just a little bit north of that. That's, I think, the easiest way to describe it.
Well, you'll find me there someday. I don't know what day, but you'll find me there. Liz Mock, thank you so much for talking all things ice cream today on the Business Lunch. Liz, of course, is from Mushu Ice Cream. She has us craving ice cream now at City News. When we come back, we're going to meet someone you already know, actually, and that's Alex Munter. Of course, he's the CEO of Chio. You know him, but he's bringing a friend with him from another galaxy. Stay with us here on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Bum, 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 bum. $20. $20. We're on the line for $20.
Here comes the 67. He scores! How's that for your first of the season? Oh! Another highlight reel goal. Perfect placement there on the one-time. What a play!
67's action on Rogers TV.
On Thursday's Daytime Ottawa, we'll meet Aeromesso Cafe and Bakery. They're going to be on the show showcasing some of their flavor-filled croissants and something called a cookie cake. Oh my goodness, it is going to be absolutely delicious on the show. We'll also tell you about a great nonprofit arts and crafts school, and we'll give you all the details on the latest production from Tactics. All that and more on Thursday's Daytime Ottawa.
Everybody knows not to drink and drive, but some people still think it's okay to take drugs and drive. Police have the authority, the ability, and the tools to determine if drivers are impaired by legal or illegal drugs. And because drug-impaired drivers can pose just as great a risk as drunk drivers, they face the same penalties, like the loss of their driver's license, a criminal record, fines, and more. A message from the RCMP, the Canadian Association of Chiefs of Police, and Arrive Alive, Drive Sober.
There we go. He's going back in, okay?
It's a new season of The New Fly Fisher on Rogers TV.
Here comes the 67. They score! How's that for your first of the season? Another highlight reel goal. Perfect placement there on the one-time. What a play! Steps one, scores!
He is making a statement, isn't he?
Oh, that's a beauty of a shot from the freshman.
the OHL playoffs on Rogers TV.
Hi, my name is Arkantel and I'm part of Encore Ottawa. My set will be coming out this week, so I hope you can watch it and enjoy it. Thank you.
Every year, dozens of Canadians are killed or seriously injured because they take risks around railway tracks. Talk to your loved ones about rail safety. Visit stoptracktragedies.ca.
I guess we've been going all morning. We have exciting news here. I don't want to scoop myself, so that's why we're talking, right?
I know, and it's so exciting. And Alex, listen, there's lots to talk about, but this day is a very special one. Now, you have lots of friends in this city, Alex, but you had to go to a whole other galaxy to find a new friend for Chio.
We did a new friend for all our little friends at Chio, and that is our new clown, who comes to us from Galaxy Sprinkle, and he is here on the phone with me.
Oh, he's here. That's amazing.
And his name is Zed.
Zed, hi, how are you?
Zed, you're joining us. I had no idea you were going to be on the line. I'm so excited.
Me neither. I'm excited too, though. This is super fun.
Okay, so Zed, tell me why you decided to come to Chio.
Okay, well, as Alex said, I was with Molly, and Molly and I at Galaxy Sparkles, we were like crazy excited to meet each other up, say hi, how's it going? And she told me all about her adventures at Chio, of course, and I was like, whoa, I just got to go. I got to go there. I got to see what it's all about and help out in some way, because she had so much to share and she spent so much time here. I really wanted to be able to help her keep going with everything that she did.
Well, Zed, that is amazing. And there's no two ways about it, Alex Munter. Those are big clown shoes to fill. Molly Penny, of course, an incredible person in our community. And Alex, what does it mean to have clown therapy at Chio? How beneficial is that?
Well, sometimes they say laughter is the best medicine. And, we want kids to be able to be kids. And that can be hard when they're hooked up to machines, when they have to be at the hospital for months on end, or even just when they're coming in for an appointment in a clinic or the lab or the emergency department, and maybe they're scared. And so we're very grateful to our many donors to the Chio Foundation, because they allow us to be able to hire therapeutic clown, and he's a graduate of clown school, which is a thing, and our music therapist and our child life specialist. But it's a part of the. It's such an important part of letting kids be kids, even when they're sick.
Mm-hmm. It's so important. And Zed, you are just so welcomed in this community and welcomed at Chio. Are you looking forward to meeting all these new friends? Zed, are you there?
Oh, yeah, that was me. I got that one.
Yes.
I was just said and echoing and thought everything that Alex said. Wow, it's true. Absolutely. I'm enamored in a way, and very gracious for the opportunity to work here. So to echo what Alex said in no uncertain terms, a thank you is the bare minimum of words that could be shared, given what it is that these kids are here for, and their families too. So I am thrilled to be a part of it. I'm thrilled to be involved. And as much as I can bring in with the clown work and therapeutic clown work and some therapeutic play with the work that I've done in the past, I hope to contribute something, that much more fun, so we can bring a little bit more fun and light back into our lives, especially given COVID and the circumstances we live, especially at the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And Sam, I was with Zed when he was marched into the school by our music therapist, playing when the Saints go marching in, and you should have just seen the faces of the kiddos, and it's just awesome.
It is awesome. And Alex, you've been, you and the whole team have been so great about sharing in the past, the commitment to have this program. And in many cases, we've seen videos and different photos over the years of not only the looks on the faces of the children, but their families as well. I can't imagine, Alex, I know my daughter's been to Chio, but certainly not not needing the type of intensive care that's supplied, but it is a relief to parents as well. How much is this, Alex, is about the kids, and how much is this about parents?
Well, of course, you know, we when we think about delivering care and supporting and delivering care to children, we deliver care to families, and we look to support parents and families and caregivers, and also to try to give them a break. And so, you know, all of our child life specialists working across the hospital, including Zed as the clown, really, you know, they help get patients ready for medical procedures. They introduce and rehearse, you know, coping strategies, distraction. Sometimes Zed's job will be just to distract a child during medical procedures, and offer, you know, a chance for play and, you know, hang out in the playroom. And one of the things that's really struck me over the years is the close friendships that Molly Penny, our former clown, struck with children. It, you know, can be lonely to be here. You're not in school. You're not with your friends, and you know, some really special and touching moments. Mm-hmm. So I know Zed will be a really important part of our team, and a really valued friend of kids and parents.
For sure. Zed, can I ask where your name came from?
Sure. Zed is really clown names in general, and I'll speak a little bit just about the clown name in general. It's a personal sort of sentiment, really. And so I reflected all sorts on CHEO values, and I really thought about how I could build the persona of this clown out from anything else that I've ever done in terms of clown work. And, you know, I landed on a whole bunch of different names going back and forth, and what really landed was the sound Zed. And effectively, we cover at CHEO, that from my understanding and my training thus far, and really learning what's happening with all of these families, that the healthcare system that's here is so supportive of A through Z of their needs. Mm-hmm. So an entire gamut of things are required for a lot of these families, and as was already said, the support relative to family members and caregivers that are here, you really can't put that into one word. So I was trying really hard to put that into a name. And when Zed came about and it landed on Zed, it's easy to say, it's fun to say, it's bilingual, it works on many different levels and checks all of those boxes really comfortably. So, and it's personal to me relative to the work that I've done. So I recognize the value in offering that up to cover from A to Z.
Well, I'm just thrilled, and we know once again
A to Z.
A to Z.
Well, I have to say it a little different sometimes, just because if I say A to Z, it sounds funny if I say it for myself.
That's so funny, Alex. You know, you're just such a champion. Alex, I'll be honest with you. I don't know how you do it. You're just every time I look on LinkedIn or in the media, you're there, and I know that by being there, you've also done this, you know, incredible amount of work to support everybody at CHEO, to support families. I don't know. You're the Energizer Bunny. I don't know how you do it.
Oh, well, if you think I'm an Energizer Bunny, you should see Zed. It goes and goes and goes.
There you go. There you go. Well, John, I really appreciate the time today. Alex Munder, CEO of CHEO, spending time with us today, and it's my first opportunity to meet Zed. Welcome, Zed, to CHEO.
Well, thank you very much. Pleasure talking to you, Sam.
See you soon, Sam. Bye-bye.
I look forward to it. Thank you so much. What a show today. Boy, we've talked about lots of different subjects today, and it was so lovely to meet Zed. We know that once again, those are big shoes to fill for Molly Penny, but Zed sounds like he is ready for the job. Listen, we've once again invite people into this community, from the community, to talk on City News and share their perspectives. And you know, everybody from Yasser Natfi joined me today to talk about the budget, and we had Dr. Nili Kaplan-Murth talking about some horrific correspondence she's received regarding her work as a school board trustee. And then we speak with Danny Smythe, the chief in Winnipeg, but he's also the president of the Canadian Association of Chiefs of Police, and talking about how tragic it's been to have so many police officers lose their life in the last 6 months in this country. And then we talk about something like Zed. this therapeutic clown that's come to Chio and try to show a little joy. So that's what this show is all about. We really try to go to those places that maybe other news outlets aren't talking about, some of those tough subjects, but we also want to bring you the lighter side of this city. It is a pleasure and an honor to spend time with you every single day. I'm on every single day from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Couldn't do it without my fantastic team. Our news team is getting ready to bring you the news of the afternoon. You'll want to stay with us here on City News.
You've been listening to the Sam Laprade Show.